Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking and subscribing the channel is free and easy, and it helps me out a lot. If you want to go a little farther with your support, I have Patreon and YouTube membership available, which includes access to the BoshNRoll Discord server, early access to things I'm working on, sideboard plans, cards I'm buying. You could have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use the YouTube membership option, you get sweet, unique YouTube badges and emotes for the channel. If you want to play what I'm playing, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support my channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com. And if you're playing on Magic Online, a cardhoarder.com loan account can let you play any deck anytime. If you want to wear your support, there is BoshNRoll merch available. All of these links are in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome back once again to the BoshNRoll channel. Today, it is the final day of Eternal Weekend, and I am playing Bant Archon in the Vintage main event. I played Grixis Breach for the first two events. One of them is posted on the channel already. One of them I did not record because it started at 5 a.m. and I was not going to put myself through that. But here we are on the final day. And you'll notice this is notably not Grixis Breach. Not even close. This is Bant Archon, and this is a deck that I had mentioned in my Eternal Weekend prep videos as something I was taking seriously. And I'm about to pull the trigger. It's time. I think the Breach deck is extremely powerful. Alex McKinley won the first week, or the first day, with the same 75 that I went 7-2 with. The deck's very strong. Day 2 had another Grixis Tinker Saga Breach deck in the top 8. The event was won by a Grixis Tinker deck, or a 4-colored Tinker deck. So blue Tinkers everywhere. The highest performing deck of the first two events was Breach as an archetype, not necessarily the Tinker Saga version, but Breach as an archetype. The most popular deck by a mile was the blue tempo decks with Ragavan, even though they are among the most poorly performing. People just like them, they make sense to their legacy brains. But those decks have not done well, but people keep playing them. So I wanted to find a deck that was good against tempo and good against Breach, and I did a lot of work. If you look onto my sidebar here, we have PO Breach was something I tried. Grixis Breach, of course. Rug Breach. There's Rug Xerox, which is trusty, reliable. That's my fair deck I like in Vintage. I tried to add Breach to Rug Xerox. And then I had 4-color Xerox, where I tried like a Deathrite Shaman, black-based Grixis build, splashing green. And then I pulled up a stock Bant Archon list and tried to add Ren and 6 to it. And then I realized that Ramanab Excavator can do a pretty good Ren and 6 impression just in the same colors. So I went back to regular Bant. There was a brief moment where these Noble Hierarchs were Birds of Paradise. There were 2 Ren and 6 in the deck. There was a couple of Volcanic Islands. It was looking wild, but I think that keeping it simple is the right decision here, and I ended up back on almost stock Bant Archon just with a Ramanab Excavator over the Sylvan Library. Sylvan Library is not a card that I really like, just in general, especially in Vintage. It takes a long time to get that thing rolling. So Ramanab Excavator does the Ren and 6 impression I'm looking for, which is basically serves the function of keeping Urza Saga decks in check and giving me some sort of mid-game plan to actually squeeze opponents out of the game if that's something I need to do. I like the Wastelands in this deck to answer Saga. I like Swords to Plowshares for Ragavan and Murktide Regent and Sphinx of the Steelwind. Those are the 3 most important creatures in Vintage right now, and Plow gets them all. The blue spells need no introduction. Noble Hierarch, that's additional mana acceleration that doesn't get hit by your 3 main deck collector oofs. This was my main appeal to the deck. Collector Ouphe absolutely smashes the Breach deck. They can't combo when you have Ouphe in play, and they can barely function when you have Ouphe in play. There was a big draw to play that card. Lavinia is kind of like an additional Ouphe. Your opponent can't play 0-cost things. They can't tinker unless they have 3 lands. They can never force you back. Lavinia is just a powerful Hatebear in the colors. And then the namesake of the deck, Archon of Emeria. Each player can cast only 1 spell each turn. Non-basic lands opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. This thing ends Vintage games on its own. Most lands are non-basic in the format. Even some number of the lands are spells too, because a lot of decks rely so heavily on their Moxen. They play like 13 lands in their deck and then all the Moxen. So you play your Mox Emerald and your turn's over. Boom. Archon of Emeria. Absolute crusher. All Breacher. Needs no introduction. Just talked about Raminep Excavator. 2 Endurance main. 2 Force of Vigor main. And then the other 2 of each are in the sideboard. So we're have powerful interaction with the graveyard and powerful interaction with artifacts and enchantments in large numbers at 0 mana in both the main and the side. And we got a complement of planeswalkers here in Teferi and Oko, rounded out with 5 pitch counters plus the fun of days. This deck is not sexy by vintage standards, and I have spent a lot of time on the Eternal Glory podcast and elsewhere joking about like, LOL, imagine putting Black Lotus in your deck to cast Tarmogoyf with. And I'm mostly busting chops when I make comments like that. Sometimes the simple, cleanest thing is the right answer. And I do have an Eternal Weekend top 8 with Rug Xerox, which is literally a Tarmogoyf deck. And this does a lot of what that deck's doing. It gives up some of the card draw power. Like there's no Treasure Cruise Dig Through Time Dak Faden in this deck, but this deck ends the game a lot faster and is a lot more hateful along the way. This is my choice for the final chance at Eternal Weekend. I'm trying to keep the streak alive. I've top baited 5 of these things in a row, and this is my last chance to do it this year. So let's get in here and hope that Bant Archon treats us well. I am on the play in round number 1, and this event mercifully fired at just under 10 rounds. We're like 15 people away from having to play an extra round today, and I'm glad it stopped. I'm keeping the hell out of this hand. I have 2 pitch counters. I'm on the play. I have a turn 2 Ouphe, even if I daze. Let's just hope Ouphe is good in this matchup, I guess. I spent a lot of time thinking about if I want to cut this 1 of daze for a Green Sun Zenith, like a 1 of Green Sun Zenith, like which of the 1-ofs is going to be better. Like Zenith gets the 1 of Raminep Excavator, and it puts more Ouphes in the deck. There's a lot to like about it. Okay, there's a lot to like about this too. I'm going to cast Ouphe with my lands, because I'd like to start attacking. I'm not going to play around them dazing me. Okay, Ouphe's in play. Hand is 4 free counter spells. Let's go. Oh, is this a mirror? Stop it. You wouldn't do this to me. Okay, it's bug. So this is sort of a scrappy mid-range mirror, but it's not like a real mirror. Okay, this deck might have daze, in which case I might get heinously punished for not playing around it. Okay, dodge that one. Now I'm holding up Hardcast Force of Negation if they have a Planeswalker, but the early Ouphe is not really the bread and butter I was looking for here, that it is against much of the vintage format. Kind of hoping for just like a slammed Oko here. Tarmogoyf is actually like hard to beat. I'm gonna force Pitching Force because I can still hardcast the Force of Negation. Oof. I need some action pretty quick. Okay, this is a matchup where the cards in my hand, Flusterstorm and Force of Negation, will get boarded out for more Swords to Plowshares, but here I am having drawn both. Do I Force of Negation Brainstorm? Just get aggro on this? I think so. If I could fluster it, I'd feel better about that, but I need to sort of keep this board clear. Okay. My Noble Hierarch beats this Ouphe in combat. Okay, nice. Show me your secrets. Give me some fresh cards. The hand is Assassin's Trophy and another Collector Ouphe. All right. So I am behind and kind of hurting here. Is there a reason to hold back Tropical Island? There's 1 Brainstorm in the deck, but in general, the deck just wants more mana in play. I guess it's representing like more cards. There's no basics in the deck, so the trophy is just destroy target thing. I'm going to play the land out. They might have their own Flusterstorms over there. Okay. Back up Ouphe. They're currently winning in combat. I need a spell. A real spell. That works. All right, so now they lose their whole board if they block instead of getting a trade. And if they go for trophy, my Flusterstorm is actually perfectly lined up here. And the second Hierarch means that even if they do clear my Ouphe from play, Hierarch a hierarch attacks bigger than an Ouphe. I keep his damage rolling. Okay, they're just going to 4. Cool. Yeah, it's a lot safer to untap. Oh, please end step this trophy. Please do it. It's not getting better. There's so much mana in play. Bang. Okay. If they just untap and do that, I'm in trouble. They have 1 card in hand. They're behind, but 1 draw could bust it open. I'm hellbent. No! God, that's such a good card. Now they get to Ancestral and just pull ahead, or they just get a removal spell. I guess they probably want Ancestral here, but we'll see. That was a really good draw. Fluster wouldn't have got that anyway, because they did play around it. Like, they might have already had it and used the trophy as bait, but Fluster wouldn't have hit this. Because the question is, like, do they just get something like Tarmogoyf? No, yeah, Ancestral is pretty clearly the call. They are at 3, though, facing down a 4-power attacker. Can I draw a spell? It looks like they have something here. It's not Assassin's Trophy. Oh, Endurance is a banger. It's just so big. And they can't hardcast Endurance right now. They're in double block mode. Deal. 2 for 1. And you're at 2. Noble Hierarch is a lethal attacker. This deck does play Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise, so I probably want to slam Endurance. I'm going to cast it now. Alright, that's a big creature in play. That turns off their Delve spells. Any one of these creatures is lethal. Wow, that was stressful. If I wanted to play Legacy, I would have played Legacy. Ouch. Okay, my sideboard's really good, though. I have Endings, Plows, going nuts here. Endurance is a big body. I have the stock bug list up on my other monitor. They're probably bringing in Endurances to get scrappy. They have a Fatal Push they can bring in. But that's about it. Tarmogoyf and Leovold are big here. Opposition Agent. Just got to be careful with my fetches. And I got to manage their graveyard proactively. So that's what's going on there. Cards that are not so good. Force of Negation. Collector Ouphe. It is a creature. See how much that actually matters. What my creature count has to maintain. Because it really doesn't do anything else. It's a grizzly bear. But this is currently a clean 6 in, 6 out. Is there a spread here that, like, is there a card left that is worse than Ouphe? Like, I could cut some of my Mox in and just commit to playing fair. Like, they're an Ouphe deck, I'm an Ouphe deck. Can they afford to board their Ouphs out? Probably not. They're probably bringing in like 1 or 2, or probably they're bringing in like 3 or 4 cards, and they have to cut their Force of Vigor from the main. Yeah, Collector Ouphe might be coming out for them too. Okay, I think I'm going to leave all my power in. I have 6 spot removal spells now, plus my counter spells. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I'll remove their Ouphe or ignore it as necessary. Well, let's hope they don't have Ouphe. I'm going to keep this Black Lotus hand. Turn 1 Oko with Force Backup is pretty powerful. They mulled to 5, that's nice. Preordain, you got it. That's interesting. Preordain is not a card that's in stock bug. They topped both of their cards. What does that Preordain tell me? Does it tell me anything? I can play Tropical Island and turn 1 Oko. I could also turn 1 Hull Breacher and leave my fetch land up. I think I'd rather Hull Breacher against this mull to 5. Yeah, let's punish that. Blue, 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 Hull Breacher with Force Backup. I can pay for days. That's a card they have. Oh, let's hope that was good. Demonic Tutor. Do I force what they get with that? Because most of the cards they would get with that I don't care about. Yeah, that's the classic question. Let the tutor resolve or counter it. They probably have to DT for an answer to Hull Breacher, and then that unlocks their hand, because normally they'd want to get Ancestral with this. I'd love to draw a Flusterstorm. That's probably... Flusterstorm or Mox. Like if I can jam Oko into play, that's good. Or Mox that, or yeah, Mox that casts Oko or Flusterstorm. Even Daze, I think I'd be pretty happy with here. Yeah, any blue card gives me double force. A Mox gives me Oko in play with force backup. A lot of good draws here. There's always the argument to hold up Hull Breacher, let them put the cantrip on the stack, and then jam it. But if they smell out the Hull Breacher, then you basically don't get to cast it, because then they can just Ancestral in response or whatever. And I like having it in play, just make them respect it immediately. Another land. I'm going to play the second land to play around Wasteland, because Oko coming down next turn is a big deal. Oh, Hull Breacher gets in for some damage. Don't think I need to worry about opposition agent here. Like I can just attack if that's what they do. Noble Hierarch. I can be attacking for 4, or I can get Oko into play. I think casting Oko's a good idea here. I'm gonna have to force the opposition agent anyway, so alright. If they have to fetch for their agent, I can fetch in response. Okay. If this is what they're doing, I guess they could be Assassin's Trophying here. Abrupt Decay. Alright, yeah, can't counter that one. Is how that works. Then Oko. Float mana Daze. I know they have whatever they DT'd for in their hand, but I think Oko is worth protecting. All I can do is make a food here. Alright, they had a blue floating and did an Ancestral. They may have DT'd for that Decay. That makes sense. That's the cleanest answer to Hull Breacher. Now their handful of cantrips is unlocked. Shuffled that. Alright, Wasteland's fine. I'm so far ahead on resources. I'm okay with that. It does suck they take me off white, which Prismatic Ending is my clean answer to Deathrite. I'm gonna elk this food, take Hierarch, and start bashing. Yeah, if I had white here, I would have been... Like, I had the decision last turn to fetch for double white or double green. There's no Savannah in the deck to get both. And I decided that deploying Noble Hierarch's probably important. So I can take their Leovold, or I can kill their Leovold. I'm going to float. I think I just attack. And then I can trade for Leovold second main and see what they want to do about that. They get to draw a card. I think that's okay. Okay, attack them with my food first. If they double block, they lose all their creatures and I don't have to trade anything with Oko. Like if they lose their Leovold this turn without drawing a card off it, that's just so insane for me. Exchange food token for Leovold. They get to draw a card. Like Veil of Summer can punish this, but it's not a huge deal. They're making a mana in response, making black. They're fatal pushing my food. Okay, fair enough. Do I want to kill Leovold now? Might as well. Okay. So exchanges in Magic, the Magic rules, exchanges don't happen if both targets aren't still around. Alright, I'll plow Leovold then. They did end up getting 2 cards off this Leovold, but they spent one of them to keep it, so pretty reasonable exchange there. They have 3 cards in their hand. Armagoy, if I have that answered, if my Hierarch survives. Uh-oh, they're tapping Normana. Green. Alright, second Tarmogoyf. Sure. And they have 1 card left in their hand. Another Hierarch, that's not bad. Alright, so I can elk one of these Goyfs, or I can invest in my future and make a food with this Oko, and then continue going to Pound Town with the other Oko. So let's see if this Prismatic Ending resolves first. Exile a Goyf. Right, that just happened immediately. Noble Hierarch in. And elking this Goyf still kills Oko. Making food also kills Oko, but Goyf is still in play. Could elk Deathrite Shaman, but then they have a pretty big beatdown plan. If I make food now, they attack Oko. Next turn I can trade for Deathrite. Is that actually good? Or if I elk now, okay. I'm gonna elk the Tarmogoyf. Just get some damage off the board here. I could also just chump block Tarmogoyf for a turn with Noble Hierarch. Oh wow. They're attacking with Deathrite also. I'm going to let them have Oko. And then just replay the one from my hand. I think that's the best way to use these resources that I have. Leovold, that's tough. Eastland, that's a little late to the party. Okay, well, I can tap Wasteland for mana. The surprise second mode of this card. If I Oko and plus it, it's at 6, and it just dies to combat. Right, back up Oko. I'm going to Elk one of my Hierarchs. If I attack, what happens? They take 4, go to 7. Deathrite can gain a lot of life. Yeah, I'm actually just going to pass and leave that on blocking duty. Removal spell's a nightmare here, but that was always going to be the case. I'm not going to block an attack with one creature. If they attack with everything, I'll trade with Leovold. Like, that's the thing about Oko. Its loyalty is just through the roof. Okay, Leovold is getting in the mix here. That's good for me. Those Deathrite. Wow, okay. I'm going to trade with Leovold. And I'll let Oko go to 1. Ouphe. Alright, they did have to leave their Ouphes in. Come on, creature. That's not a good one. If I plus Oko on Noble Hierarch, I have a 3/3, but I have no white mana. If I make food, they have to attack Oko with everything for the turn. I could Elk Deathrite Shaman and waste them off black. That gives them a pretty big beatdown squad, but takes them off of an angle of their game. I'm going to Wasteland Underground Sea first to see what happens here. They floated blue, then didn't do anything with it. I'm going to Elk Deathrite Shaman and just say goodbye to Oko here and hope I draw a creature that can beat a pair of 3/3s. Like, Endurance is great. There's 4 of them in the deck right now. Wish I could flash in Endurance right now. They sent all their creatures at Oko, which is nice. They didn't split up the attack. They played around Endurance, basically. Endurance. Wasteland. Alright. We're in scrappy mode. They're favored, but we are in scrappy mode. They're ahead on the board right now, which is what mostly matters. Draw step, Endurance. Noble Hierarch. Not the worst card. Gonna keep scrapping in here. It's not time to chump block yet. They're gonna put me to 1 with this next attack. And then even Endurance isn't good enough. Damn. If I block now, is Endurance good enough? I take 5, go to 4. Next turn, Endurance eats something. No, that's still not good enough. Yeah, they out-creatured me this game. Oh, there he is. What a tease. 1 turn too late. My life is pain. Yeah, they just turn all their creatures sideways. I'm not even going to show them that I had the Endurance. Don't necessarily want that on their radar for game 3, though I think they know Endurance is in the deck, but still. Turn late. Alright, I got a bunch of Leovolds. I don't think I have anything that changes here. And I could cut Force of Will for an Ouphe just as another body to commit to the board. But Force of Will is pretty good at, like, punching through my Okos and stuff. Okay, and maybe at some point in one of these 3 games, I'll draw a cantrip of any kind, which has not happened yet. I get to be on the play here. I think the turn where I lost that game was when I tried to trade for Leovold. Maybe I'm just supposed to continue just pooping out foods and elks and whatever, and just overwhelm them with my board presence. I just got too fancy over a card I was excited about. That played into a removal spell. On the play, this is actually really bad. I like the Mox, but no, if with a second land in the hand, I would have kept this, but I have to ship this as is. Okay, Ancestral Recall is present in this hand. I'm going to keep. I'm not going to need 2 Archons. Opponent's also on 6. I'm going to Gitaxian Probe. Please don't be able to counter my Ancestral. Time Walk, Oko, Wasteland. Okay, so they have a turn 1 Oko, basically. They can... Oh, no, they don't, because Wasteland and Moxjet don't cast Oko. Alright, I think I'm gonna land Ancestral. And I'm going to Ancestral in their upkeep so I don't have to go to discard. I think I want the Tundra. Ancestral myself. I guess I didn't have to go to discard anyway. That is how that works. And then I would have known to fetch the other land. All right, Jet. Probably Time Walk. Not finding a land off that Ancestral is actually fucking horrendous. They could Demonic Tutor for their own Ancestral. Honestly, if they give me a turn without wasting me, that would make me really happy. They drew the mana for Oko, so they can Oko here. And that's still better than wasting me, but wow, I was betrayed by that Ancestral Recall. Yeah, Oko resolves. Activate Hard Mode. They have 3 cards in their hand. 2 of them are Demonic Tutor and Wasteland, both of which are really good. I think I want to Ponder for land and then cast Time Walk. Or is Brainstorm better than Ponder here? No, Ponder's better, because if I miss, I'm fucked. Wow, shuffle. God damn it. Well, this might be how this ends. Now the Wasteland is just live as possible. You could argue that the safer play was Time Walk just to get another draw before I had to make any decisions, but I think that is wrong and bad. Like, there's... Like, seeing 4 cards, hitting the land, and then you be able to Time Walk into 3 mana with this deck that really needs to be able to do that. Now they can DT for Ancestral and the game just ends. If I draw a land this turn, a blue producing land, I should be more specific. If I draw a blue producing land, I might have a chance to grind back in here. I drew Hullbreacher. Alright, yep, we're dead. They're making food. They haven't cast the spell they DT'd for yet. If it was Ancestral, they could have rammed it on the stack. They might be giving me a lot of credit to actually just have anything, which I don't. Or they might have gotten... I guess they could have gotten Library, which digs through, sees more cards than Ancestral ultimately. Or going to discard. Awesome. I think I have to lose Archon. Like, I'm not winning a game where I only cast 1 spell at this point. And they're just going to pay the max every turn forever until I'm dead. I can't plow this food, not yet. Like, if I plow this food and they follow up with Ouphe, taking away my only mana source, that's no good. If they jam Leovold, also no good. But a land. Jesus. Guess I'll plow Deathrite, because I have to go to discard anyway. They paid the max of Library again, made a food. There was 6 cards in their hand. They're not really worried about anything right now. Alright, I'm gonna concede. That sucked so hard. I'm on the draw in round 2. My opponent has no posted Vintage results online, so I don't have any information. If they're a deck that Endurance is good against, that's what my hand does. I have no acceleration, can't even cast the 2-drop in my hand. I think I have to mulligan this. This is somehow worse. Holy shit. Alright, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna send... I think I need the Noble Hierarch, but maybe I can't afford it. Lavinia's gotta go. And maybe it's the Wasteland. And my plan is gonna have to be, like... I could have bottomed the Hierarch and just planned to force a will their play, Strip Mine, Wasteland, hope they're dead. But I think Noble Hierarch gets this game up and running with a mana source faster. Turn 1 Lavinia. Oh, let's force that, because we don't get to force anything else ever again. Looks like we're playing against Jeskai, which is another fair deck. Let's hope this Strip Mine is good. I don't know. Multi 5 sucks. You play these Xerox decks because they're stable, and we've taken a lot of mulligans for such a quote-unquote stable deck. Alright, I mean, Black Lotus is a good card, though. I'll cast it. I'm gonna make blue, blue, blue and cast Brainstorm, as Brainstorm could find me the land to cast Hullbreacher. I think that'll do better overall. This plays into Mental Misstep where Hullbreacher doesn't, but it plays around Force of Will in a way that, like, are they going to force a Brainstorm in this Flusterstorm mana? Okay, yeah, I am playing to win here, not to not die. Now the question is Oko versus Hullbreacher. And Plow's going on top with Hierarch above it. Like, which card do I think is going to win this game on its own? Hullbreacher plays around Force of Negation. They both lose to Force of Will. I think Oko is the play. I'm fully expecting Force of Will. They kept this hand without a second land drop on the strength of Lavinia. Yeah, there's the Force. So I guess it's a little weird they didn't force back my Force when their whole plan was turn 1 Lavinia. Here's Hierarch. They are a Swords of Plowshares deck. Just have to hope they don't have it. Nope, they have it immediately. They're not a Wasteland deck. They frequently have one Strip Mine, but they're not a deck that's full of Wastelands the way mine is. They found their land. Now we're in trouble. Preordain, okay. And now I with the Mox Pearl being their only source of mana, I actually really like leading on Oko over Hullbreacher on the previous turn. Because Plow cleans up Hullbreacher. Oko really did put them to the Force of Will test. And now we're losing. They've pulled ahead. They kept both of the cards on their Preordain. Sure, it's just, magic cards that do stuff. A Tundra is pretty exciting right now. Develop my board and answer this Jace before it flips. Ugh. 3-drop instead. Yeah, this Bant deck's really bad at coming back from behind. That's for sure. And now they get to flip Jace. They're in Planeswalker mode. Get to cast an extra Preordain this turn. They're plussing Jace instead. Guess I have to keep playing. This is until they show me a win condition. I'm buried in cards. It's not likely I'm going to win this game. Merchant Scroll. All right, yeah, Scroll for Ancestral. They could have Ancestraled twice this turn and decided to plus Jace instead. Yeah, all right. I am pretty content that we're not winning this one. These games could get grindy, though. The clock might matter. The Jeskai deck is really bad at actually winning the game, as far as in a timely manner. I'm going to play to my outs, which are, at this point, it's the clock. They get their second Ancestral off of Jace here. Casually 8 cards in hand. Monastery Mentor is their only real win con in the deck. The game will end quickly when they find it, but until that point. Time Walk, okay. Time Walk without a threat in play is much less scary than Time Walk with a threat in play. Another Preordain. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. The deck is really threat light. It's just answer heavy. This is actually a pretty heinous matchup, all things considered. I picked this deck because it lines up well against Breach and Ragavan, and we're playing against a deck that is neither of those things. Narset, okay. Okay, they are Ragavan. They have Mental Misstep in their hand, perfect, for that Swords of Plowshares that they know is in mine. If I ever draw a source of mana. They found Black Lotus off their Narset. And if I had conceded already, I wouldn't know that they're a Ragavan deck. They're getting information off of my deck with the rags, or with their rag. I am interested to know if there's a Saga deck. That's still a possibility as well. I don't think they are. It would kind of surprise me, but it's possible. They have to go to discard 2 cards. Hell yeah, Mind Rot you. Discarded backup Ragavan and Blusterstorm. Found a pretty sick Ancestral Recall here to go with their Narset. I will Ancestral myself now while it's good for 1 card. See if they want to misstep this. Alright, fair enough. That was just 1 card anyway. The Swords of Plowshares. If there's an important card in my hand, it's Swords of Plowshares. Just took my Oko. That's going to end the game pretty quickly. I'm going to Force of Will it. I'm sure their 7-card hand can answer a Force of Will, but Oko is the type of thing that'll make this game take a lot longer. Or a lot less time. They already have treasures laying around from Rag to just elk up. Global Hierarch. Hell yeah. We're in the game. Jace shrunk my Hierarch. Build -2/1. Backing for 8 here. Yeah, Oko's such a good card. It's not fair that they get to play it. And I don't. Ragavan took a Flooded Strand. Another Hierarch. Cool. So I can chump block one of these things and plow a different one. So the Ragavan plus Oko, this is the old Gilded Goose plus Oko interaction of you just get a 3/3 every turn. It's not every other turn. Okay, that's dead. I have to block 1 elk and plow another. I still go to 1. I'm going to plow the Black Lotus just out of respect for the card. Yep. Okay, now we saw days. Even playing this out, I was mostly doing it for the clock, But we saw Ragavan and Daze, 2 cards we wouldn't have seen if I scooped earlier. Okay, I want big creatures. I think Prismatic Ending and Swords to Plowshares are both good here. Like, looking at my answers to Planeswalkers, which are Pithing Needle or Prismatic Ending, I think I like Ending better. Force of Vigor is not great here. I don't really love Force of Negation. It's one of Days is a little awkward, but it could be good. This isn't really a matchup Archon shuts down, but Ouphe might be even worse. Ouphe being a 2-drop is worth a lot to me, though. I'm bringing in a lot of 3s. Maybe Archon just isn't where I want to be here. And my end game is Ramunap Excavator or an Oko, an unchecked Oko. I could turn my Ouphes into Containment Priests, just because like it's mostly a wash. I don't think they're doing anything with artifacts that I'm not doing. Like, whose mana is more important, I guess. I guess Ouphe supplements my Wasteland plan in a way that is relevant. So is Pithing Needle better than Ouphe? If I just like name Dak Faden and take that out, or name Jace Telepath Unbound, or whatever the backside of Prince Prodigy is. No, I think I like the creatures. I do want to be on board. Like, being a Noble Hierarch deck in these kind of creature-centric matchups, you really want to always have a creature on board to leverage your Noble Hierarch with. On the play, another one-lander. It has Force and Brainstorm. I think I'm going to mulligan now. Okay, this one's much better. Clearly. I'm going to keep this, and it's a little awkward that Lavinia is my blue card for Force of Will. I want access to Wasteland. Yeah, this is tricky, actually. Yeah, I can bottom Wasteland and just cast Lavinia on turn 2 with my lands. Is there a... No, like, costing green, 1, blue, white. I guess if I make... No, needing green, blue, white out of 5 mana, can Black Lotus do that? If I make green... Oh yeah, I just... Right. Lotus just casts Endurance straight up. Okay, I'm gonna bottom Wasteland and keep this hand. I'm gonna lead on the white land because I think it's less important than the green one. Oh, there's Black Lotus. I'm gonna pass the turn. Like, they can't daze my Endurance. They can force at any time. Just white mana. I could Endurance now and play around Daze, or I could just Lavinia. I'd really like to draw Mental Misstep. Oh, Ancestral Recall. I don't want to fight over that. Not at what it would cost me to actually... Oh, there's that, obviously. The price that fighting over Ancestral Recall would have cost was too high there. Like, losing Lavinia and my Force of Will. Regrettably, Flusterstorm was not in the hand. Lavinia's in play now, which means I'm not getting Force of Willed and they can't deploy their Mox in. They can play Swords to Plowshares. I will Flusterstorm that. I can also just hope they don't have it. Ah, good, that's a great Preordain. Okay, in this case, I'm going to Endurance in the end step and just get my beats on. They can't counter Endurance with Lavinia in play. Oh, black, or green. Like, they do care about their graveyard with Delve spells and Mystic Sanctuaries and Jace and stuff. Shuffling their Ancestral back into their deck just turned on their Merchant Scroll, which is a little goofy, but I think it's okay. All right, now we attack for 5. 4 times. That's my plan anyway. Them playing Mystic Sanctuary there is a pretty big sign of weakness. Like, that's a card you want to save for later if you can play any other land. It doesn't cast a color that they care about. Like, they discarded Expressive Iteration after playing Mystic Sanctuary tapped. Finding Wasteland for this Tundra would be a huge game. You still don't have red. Merchant Scroll. This is going to go get the Ancestral. Yeah, let's Fluster this. Because next turn they can just Ancestral through Flusterstorm if they don't cast any spells first. I'm really interested in a blue card, especially a blue card like Ancestral Recall. Some card selection or something to speed this clock up would be great. Archon would be pretty good here. Hierarch's not actually good here because I'm attacking with 2 creatures. That does get me closer to hardcast Force of Will next turn, though. So I'm still going to play it out, of course. And if they remove one of these creatures, it lets the other one beat harder. But I hope they don't have balance in their deck. But if they do that, they have to discard 6 cards. Mentor, that's a powerful card. If they are holding Mox in, they can just like spew them off for monks here. Taxian Probe, okay, that's countered, but they get a monk. It's time to draw removal for Mentor. Yeah, that's really terrifying. It's the one card in their deck that I'm really worried about here. Okay, I'm going to attack with Endurance with the Hierarch trigger. We're going to fall behind to this monk very quickly. Get another Tropical Island, Excavator. This 5th mana is showing up a turn late here. Really wish I drew a Wasteland at any point this game. They're at 4 life, but they have 4 mana now, which can pretty effectively bully the Lavinia. A Mystical for Ancestral for whatever. Or they could Mystical for Time Walk, which might be even better than Ancestral here. The Force of Wills in this deck are pretty bad, actually. Like, you're just always hellbent. Okay, so they Time Walk into Ancestral. Yeah, Mentor is really good against creature decks. I think this tournament is over already. This is a risk you take when you build for the winner's metagame and lose round 1. You're just playing against the other decks that also lost round 1. No attack on the first turn. Here's Ancestral. I'm at 19 life. I'm pretty comfortable chumping with Noble Hierarch if necessary. You're on Lavinia, okay. Preordain, okay. See how this Preordain does. And they still don't have an attack with Mentor this turn, which is somehow a thing. They bottom the Preordain. I will double block the shit out of Mentor if it attacks. And I'll take 9 from the monks if that's all that's coming in. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to fetch in the end step, try to thin out lands as my potential draws here. I have enough of them. Collector Ouphe. If I attack with Ramonette, yeah, Endurance is the only creature that can really attack here. They have to block, but they have lots of blockers. And they will forever now. They started lining up a multi-block, but they don't have any good multi-blocks because of the Exalted. I'm a mana short of playing Ouphe and holding up Force, and I think holding up Force is probably more important. I'm not confident about either one, really. Right now they can also cast Force. Prismatic Ending. They're targeting Lavinia. That's with 2 colors. All right. I'll force this. This is the play I signed up to make, I guess. Okay, that's forced. They can fluster, and then I'm dead. Force of Negation does it too. Okay, I'm dead. I'm at 8. They're attacking with 5 3/3s to my 3 blockers, or 2 blockers, because one of them's about to go away. Yep, Monastery Mentor, absolutely disrespectful of creature decks. There's only one deck in Vintage right now that plays Monastery Mentor, and it's a fringe deck, and it's this deck, and that's what I get for losing round 1. And just like that, Eternal Weekend, I'm not getting my 6th consecutive top 8. I will keep playing for this video, but that sucks. Okay. There's still content to be made, though. Let's keep it going. I'm on the play for round 3. We have another mulligan. This hand is giving me some serious structural problem vibes. I wish this was a Force of Will, but of course it's not. I am going to keep this, and I'm going to send Lavinia to the bottom, because Oko pitches to Force of Vigor or Negation as needed. So ship Lavinia, and I'm going to Lotus for Hierarch and Ouphe. If they have the read and force my Lotus to just lose. Okay, Hierarch first. Follow up with Ouphe. Hope this is good. Okay, my things are in play, and I have a pitch spell to back them up. Let's see if this deck is defensible. Scalding Tarn. Volcanic Island. Taxian Probe. Show me. How many artifacts are in your hand right now? Brainstorming in response. Okay. Yeah, so one thing that I was thinking about between rounds about the problems with this deck, like why it feels so clunky compared to something like Rug, and the answer is for Preordain. Like, this deck really is just betting that the creatures will arrive and be slow and steady until the game is over, where Rug gets to preordain its way through and smooth things out. Oh, good. We're playing against Jeskai Xerox again. Cool. Found a Force of Will at least. Like, I'll take that. But yeah, now that we're in the O2 bracket, we're going to play against these bad Xerox decks. And they are really good against us. The all-in on Ouphe with free spell backup plan. Like, this is really good against Breach or PO. And it's just embarrassing and terrible against a deck like this one. I mean, the Force and the Dig, at least, are stranded in their hand. Oh, wait, no, they're not. They have Lavinia. I have Ouphe. Like, what am I talking about? Okay, I drew an answer to... Wait, I can't answer Lavinia because I have 0 lands in play. I can't even cast a spell with Lavinia in play. Jeez, that's bad. Ancestral Recall. And they can back it up with Force. Yeah, I'll Force pitching. I guess it's Force. That Force negation really isn't looking good at all. It's really embarrassing getting your creature deck completely shut down by Lavinia, though. Yep. It's in the garbage. Well, we've seen the Force of Will in their hand. And whatever. This isn't getting better. I might not even be able to put it on the stack next turn if they cast Lavinia. Force pitching Lavinia. Okay, the Lavinia is gone. They're going to dig through time, reload, kill this Hierarch, and then I lose. And the important lesson here, like format-wide, is I didn't know what my opponent was playing when I kept a Black Lotus Ouphe with protection hand. And that hand really does just beat some number of decks. Straight up, just the game is over. And this is not one of them. Instead, we got paired into a deck that doesn't care at all about that, and is, in fact, is super stoked about it. I don't need to play to the clock or slim outs anymore. I'm already dead in the tournament. I'm just making content. Not going to make you all sit and watch that. Force of Vigor is bad. Force of Negation isn't great. Archon is medium. I like Endurance. I like Ending and Plow. Maybe I don't need all 4 plows in the deck. Because they basically have Lavinia, maybe Jace. Oh, they probably have Ragavan. Yeah, that's a thing worth plowing. You can shave an Ouphe and a second Archon, probably. Yeah, this looks familiar. I could bring in Tabernacle to try to control Mentor. The Tabernacle's pretty bad for my deck. That's only really for emergencies, and I don't think this would count as one. Archon does a pretty good job controlling Mentor as well. Maybe I'll keep a hand with some land drops or, you know, see a Wasteland. I'm going to keep this. There's enough mana in this hand to function. My opponent is not playing a Wasteland deck. Just pass the turn. Land would be great. Nice. I'm going to lead on Lavinia, because I can back it up with Flusterstorm right now, if necessary. Get another Hierarch in play. And they could Bolt or Plow here, but I think that's fine. I could have left up Flusterstorm to protect Lavinia, but I think getting my material on board up front and then protecting once I'm in play makes more sense. Instead of Brainstorm, okay. Next turn I can Endurance with Fluster backup after attacking for 4. That just seems like something worth investing in. They have their second land. They're fetching for something here. Another Tundra is interesting. Are they planning around Wasteland here? They top bottom the Preordain. They're showing Swords to Plowshares. And they have it. That hurts a lot. And then they get to probe me, which they couldn't do. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to leave up the Flusterstorm. Maybe I'm just supposed to bet on Lavinia and take my time after that. I'm willing to believe that I've played some of these matches wrong. Yeah, like Lavinia bricks at least 2 cards in their hand. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to leave up Fluster. All right, first appearance of Wasteland. Pretty happy to see that. And they were smart to play around it by fetching the second white source there. I don't believe I have an attack this turn. Because if I want to Endurance with Fluster backup, I guess I could have ended their Lotus. I'm going to Endurance right now. I don't want to give them access to their Delve spells. They have Force of Will for that. I have Flusterstorm for that. If they have Fluster, they're going to win the Fluster fight. They could also just pay, but that'll cost them their Black Lotus. That was not the play they wanted to make. Okay, days. That's pretty fucked up. Okay. What's the follow-up? How dead am I? I was feeling good about this game. I think leaving up Flusterstorm last term, everything I said about developing the board and then worrying about protecting yourself once you're set up, I think that's wrong. At least in the context of the Vintage format, where you can just die to a single spell. I think you should be protecting your lock pieces. It might be too late to learn this lesson, but I think it's true. I'm going to ending their Lotus. They didn't play a land last turn. Well, they dazed, so they might have a land in their hand, actually. Time to start attacking. They didn't even float mana. They just exiled Black Lotus. Like they don't even have Delve spells in their deck. Okay, they're weak. Alright, that's a good one. This plays around... They can't Pyroblast. Alright, good. We're in business, team. I think Raminep Excavator is about to do its job. Yeah, I was about to waste lock them. Good, good. The game we drew a power 9 spell, we won. Okay. Am I disrespecting Archon? Is that card better than I have given it credit for? Like, is it better than Collector Ouphe? I mean, the 2 mana to 3 mana jump is not inconsequential, especially on the draw, but Ouphe makes it harder for me to cast Archon. I think I do want Archon. The bonus text of checking Mentor is worth a lot to me. Okay, I like this hand. I'm going to keep it. Extremely stable mana, multiple bangers to do with the mana. They have a Mox. One of their more broken starts they're capable of. Top bottom, the Preordain. Hierarch, get in there. Force of Will's a great draw. That gives me 2 pieces of interaction here. Slam Mentor, I'm going to daze the shit out of it. Have they seen my daze yet? I've seen theirs. I don't know that they've seen mine. Yeah, daze that. I hope they don't have their own. Like, if they force here, I want to be able to force back. Okay. Got away with that one. Another Endurance. Not that sexy. I'm going to start getting my damage in. There's no, like, 2 drops specifically I can represent here. Rag. Not interested in dashing that on the empty board. Preordain. Okay. I also would have preordained first to make sure I know what all my options are before I start casting spells. A top bottom to the Preordain. Endurance is looking pretty good here. I don't want to time walk until I have a fatty in play, and Teferi is looking like Force of Will food right now. If they plow in the end step, I'm actually kind of cool with that because I have a ton of mana, and I would prefer they plow the Hierarch to the Endurance. Here's Endurance. That hesitation last turn indicates plow to me. Force of Will. And I'm going to force back. The Force of Will indicates they don't have plow to me. It sucks that Pyroblast and Flusterstorm are on right now, which are cards that are normally bad. Yeah. Okay. We're taking a rag hit. Let's hope the damage isn't too heavy. They pitched Dak to that Force. That's interesting that they value Dak over Ragavan in this, or Ragavan over Dak and Force of Will in this spot. Please don't take my Ancestral Recall. Please don't tilt me off the cliff in that regard. My deck's full of bad cards. Please don't take a good one. Take a Flooded Strand. They took Misty Rainforest. Alright, deal. Deal, deal, deal. Oh, they had their Ancestral in their hand the whole time. Great. JK nerd. You thought this game was going to be competitive. Bathing Needle. Please name Noble Hierarch. They're going to name Wasteland, I bet. They named Noble Hierarch. Oh my god. Well, that sucks because I'm going to have to quit Magic if I lose this match now. And those are just the rules. Letting them untap into their 5th mana gives them hardcast Force of Will. Okay, now they can't hardcast Force of Will anymore. I'm going to Endurance. No, I'm not. I was about to say I'm going to Endurance now to turn off their Delve spells. But I really want to eat this Ragavan. Alright, well, now I'm going to Endurance because we're not bluffing anything. They're about to see it. Ragavan, or Endurance U. They could dig through time in response, I guess. That would be pretty annoying. Alright, their graveyard's gone. They're going to see Time Walk, Swords to Plowshares off this Probe. And I haven't tapped Noble Hierarch yet, so maybe they think their Pithing Needle is still working. Okay, no attack. We're in there. A spell? Not a spell. I'm going to cast Time Walk, see if that resolves before I decide whether I'm going to attack or whatever. I can pay for a Flusterstorm. Alright, they just have Pyroblast in their deck still. Okay. Do I plow Ragavan? I think so. Maybe not. I could just wait, play around Flusterstorm. I could attack, plow on their turn. That also plays around Flusterstorm. No, that seems really dangerous. That's playing with fire that I don't need to play with. This game is weirdly close considering they've resolved Ancestral Recall and I haven't. I don't want to let them crack that open for free. I'm gonna fetch in the end steps, thin out land draws. Oko Thief of Crowns, that's a good card. Okay, Swords to Plowshares the Ragavan. See if they want to fight over this. I hope they tap out 5 mana for Force of Will right now. Heal. Oko. Oh, their last card in was Pyroblast. Cool. Well, they're empty. I'm ahead on board. Let's see who can break this open first. They've cast their Ancestor already. I haven't. Prismatic Ending. Is that... Are we in? I have to show a lot of respect to this Ragavan. Just the card advantage it might represent is pretty serious. Oh, they drew Force of Will? Cool. Neat. I should be attacking with Noble Hierarch. I missed the attack last turn. I'm pretty happy to trade this with Ragavan. At this point, my mana is set up. I can at least push for damage a little bit here. Yeah, they would be at 12 if I caught that last turn like I'm supposed to. Oh, great. Cool. Now they get to take my Ancestral Recall, which I know is on top of my deck. Is guaranteed. Alright, it took Wasteland. Come on, deck. How about a creature? Give me an Archon. Something that blocks or removes Ragavan. Oh, okay. Thanks, Ragavan. Alright, I'm gonna stop complaining now. Ancestral Recall. I was due for a good draw. Let's hope this generates cards that matter. Okay. Yes. Plow the Ragavan. My opponent said nice in the chat. Have you been paying attention to your draws this game, opponent? Okay. Now Noble Hierarch's a real clock. Gonna hold back this Tundra because the 7th mana source in play doesn't really do anything, and I can at least represent that I have something. Okay, they drew another plow. Sure. I think plowing the Hierarch's a little aggressive there. I have real creatures in my deck. Like, what if I just draw Lavinia or something now? Which I'm obviously not going to, because I've just drawn every mana-producing land in my deck instead. Even like a Wasteland here to start whittling down their options would have been better than this. All of my fetchables are currently in my hand, so fetch lands are completely dead. On deck, just give me like an Endurance or something. All right, they have... Oh, do they not have a Mystic Sanctuary? Not interested in that one? Oh, I'll keep attacking. I'm not going to play my Flooded Strand. Pretty sure I only have 6 fetchables in the deck. Yep. Great. Uh-oh, they drew a spell. Yeah, okay. Hey, opponent, remember 3 turns ago when you were tilting off that I drew a spell? Look where we are now. Oh, they do have a Mystic Sanctuary. And they can put Treasure Cruise on top and just hard cast it next turn. Preordain. Oh, they decided not to pick up the Treasure Cruise? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, not interested in just recruising on this empty board. Especially knowing Preordain would be in the graveyard next turn. Gosh, sure. If I lose this match, which is looking pretty likely, I'm never playing Bant again. Excavator. There are only fetch lands in my graveyard right now. Too much to ask for a Wasteland. Or a fetchable land still in my deck. Misty Rainforest. I don't think they have any flash creatures, so I'm going to keep my beats gumming. And I have a 2-3 that I can put in front of Ragavan now. I played out that Misty because there is a Brainstorm in my deck. Putting Tundra back in and fetching it out would be extremely worthwhile. Being 36 cards into the deck without a Wasteland is pretty cool. Or 24 cards into the deck. They gushed up their Mystic Sanctuary last turn and then didn't replay it this turn. Dig through time, okay. Preordain after the dig. Merchant Scroll for the Ancestral Recall that's still in the deck because I Enduranced it back in there. Which is fine. Like, I'm not going to consider that a punt because they have cast multiple Delve spells also and had Mystic Sanctuary, so that is what it is. At the time, it was the correct play. The game has just gone so long that it's starting to look bad. Redheart Arcanist, okay. That's multiple Ancestral Recalls. Can I draw an Endurance here? Or, like, anything? Okay, Force of Will. That's a card I can cast. Not that it's mega helpful. Gonna attack for 3. If they cast a spell, I cast Force, and they cast Flusterstorm, it'll be for 3, and I can only get up to 7 mana here. I'm still gonna hold back on the Tundra. Kinda needed that to be Force of Negation. I think at this point, they've drawn so many cards that spending Force of Will on Ancestral Recall that they can just also refire from the graveyard with Dreadhorde Arcanist immediately is bad. I need to pick my Force for something like Monastery Mentor or Swords to Plowshares. I don't know. Lavinia, I can hardcast Force. That one's not going to break me. Second Ancestral. Oh, they chose not to cast it. That's funny. Misclick. Maybe I should have forced it if I knew they were just going to not use their card. I'm going to attack first. Oh, I was probably supposed to elk my Hierarch. I don't know. Just jumping with Lavinia, sure. Here's Oko. Which of the 4 cards in your hand would you like to counter this with? They spent a life point on Force of Will, then realized they had 5 mana. Changed their mind. Ugh. Okay. But Endurance would be a great card to have in my hand right now. Let's just tuck that Ancestral. Okay, Mystic Sanctuary, that's got to buy back Ancestral, right? Or do you buy back Force of Will, draw it with Ancestral, and continue trying to beat the board? They targeted Preordain. Of the 2 plays that I just mentioned, that is not one that I mentioned. Ancestral Recall. It's been cast. They targeted themselves. That's lucky. Not going to block Dreadhorde Arcanist with my Hierarch. That doesn't do anything. There's the Preordain they put on top. Aggressive Iteration. Okay. This is what I was talking about, where the other decks have Preordain in them, and this deck doesn't. Like, I Ancestral Recalled into, like, creature land removal spell, and they Ancestral Recall into Preordain, Expressive Iteration, more things. Narset, okay. Narset digs up what? Preordain. There's Preordain. I'm going to draw the Brainstorm that I've been waiting the whole game for right now that they have Narset in play. So I do have a creature. I can attack Narset if that happens. They top bottom Preordain, cast Ragavan. Okay. Another Preordain. They topped both of those. Can I have something good? I've had worse cards than Lavinia. That's certainly true. It's even something that I can back up with Force of Will. White, blue. I'm going to pre-combat this Lavinia. She's in there. I think I'm just going face. Attack my opponent's life points directly. Try to put them to 1. Make them block with this Ragavan. Lavinia turns off Dreadhorde Arcanist, so that's just like one less thing I need to worry about. They can't gush, they can't force. They Treasure Cruise is exiled and Dig is in the graveyard already, so they're also 1 land away from casting those things anyway. Also, the fact that they only... Oh, they have Treasure. Okay, never mind. I was about to say, the fact they only have 1 mana left means that if they try to plow here and I force it, they can't fight back, but they can. I think I do have to fight over this, though. They spent their Treasure on it. That's fun. Also a cool trick now where they can cast Force of Will with Pitch Cast. They're allowed, but it'll just get countered. So maybe they'll miss 1/2 of Lavinia for the second half. I don't know. Weirder things have happened already in this match. They're also down to 4 minutes on their clock, and like we've talked about in previous rounds, Jeskai doesn't win particularly quickly unless Mentor's involved. Depending on how many Tundras are in their hand right now, they may not be able to fetch a land at this point. And they might actually not be... No, they are definitely full Jeskai Xerox. Never mind, I've seen enough. I was about to say maybe they're just like the Rag deck with a splash, but that's not the case, clearly. I think a real hero would go to 1 here and let Narset plus Ragavan own this game, but I think they're going to chump, based on what I've seen so far. Yep. Okay. I wonder if they know about Narset and Dreadhorde Arcanist. Like, if they just try to cast Swords to Plowshares from the graveyard, that would be great. Dak Faden. Okay. They can target me because they have Narset and make me discard this Flooded Strand. They're just shredding through their own deck, which I think is the right play. It's clear the card in my hand doesn't matter. Brainstorm. Okay. Oh, they've seen their whole deck twice now. The Mentor's in there somewhere. Can they figure out how to attack me for 15 in 2 minutes? Narset can clear the Brainstorm cards. Wow, fail to find on Narset after putting the cards on your deck, on top of your deck. Oh, there it is. And now Dreadhorde attacking makes a monk even if it doesn't actually work. If I can draw removal for the Mentor right now, there's a chance. Fetching to 3. There is a land left in their deck, it seems. Just cast Brainstorm, I would hope so. Jesus, they had the Time Walk. Scary. Well, they Time Walked on a turn where Mentor was summoning sick. And they have a minute left. Alright. 2 cards in hand, 1 deck activation, and 60 seconds to make this happen. Fire Blasting Lavinia hurts. Let's hope they haven't set their auto yields to their monk triggers. This is 8 damage right now. They have to cast 2 more spells, plus they get a spell off of Dreadhorde Arcanist attacking, but they'll have to click through that trigger and the resolution of whatever that spell is. Okay, I didn't die. I don't think they're going to be able to attack again in 9 seconds. I'm going to attack my opponent. They're going to have to line up blocks. That'll take a few seconds. Oh my god, they timed out. That was embarrassing for everyone. This Bant deck sucks. Straight up sucks. I only beat Pithing Needle on Noble Hierarch because my opponent took forever to play the game. Yikes. At least we're technically on the board. We're about halfway through the video, so let me just remind you that if you like this deck and you want to try it out, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com, and you can play any deck anytime with cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. These links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. I am on the play in round 4 with... oh, this hand. Basically dead to Force of Will, but I am going to keep. I'm going to jam Archon and just see what this thing's made of. If I had another 2-drop in hand, I could double spell Ouphe and Archon. But I'm just going to represent Flusterstorm and cast Archon. First appearance of this card. Let's see if it wins the game on the spot, or if they have Force of Will and I lose. Yep, great. Force of Will, pitching Preordain, and now I need to draw a mana source. Even if this was Force of Will, I mean, the days would have been busted there. Like, this Force Negation's been kind of medium. I don't know. Like, sometimes you really want Force Negation, sometimes you really want days. Tough stuff. But Force Pitching Preordain, another blue deck. Oh, is this, this is Doomsday. Nobody else plays Street Wraith. Yeah, this would have been a really good deck to have Archon against. Mana source, please. Ancestral in my upkeep, sure. Ugh. Okay, now we're dead. But maybe that hands a mulligan, but like it turn 1's the best card in the deck. Feels pretty bad though. I at least drew a blue card for Force of Negation. Brainstorm, powerful card. For Doomsday anyway. We do go up to 4 endurance post board. That's about all I got for this matchup. I guess I could Pithing Needle Street Wraith in some world. That doesn't seem great. Dark Ritual. Here's Doomsday. I'm going to force a negation. Oh, it's Necro. Interesting. I'm going to force that too. It's a lot better than Doomsday. Cycled Street Wraith looking for an answer. Now that's 2 fewer cards they can draw even if this does resolve. Okay, deck. Mana source. Ugh. Killing me, Smalls. There really are 24 mana sources in this deck, which is a shit zillion for a vintage deck. Literally a shit zillion. As far as real lessons to learn, though, maybe you got a mulligan. I don't know. Like the Black Lotus Archon start, even at a land, I've had, what, 2 draw steps? Yeah. To get this Ouphe into play. I had follow-up. I had action. Didn't happen. Demonic Tutor. Powerful. I bet we're going to get Doomsday next turn. Noble Hierarch. I'll take it. It is literally not nothing, which everything else in the deck has been. Now I'm at a point where ripping a land could actually be great for Archon. Like, we just skip Ouphe and go straight into Archon Town. Unless they can win all at once right now, which is entirely possible after a Demonic Tutor. Ponder. That's weird. What do you Demonic Tutor for and then just cast Ponder? I guess you're looking for Force of Will or something to punch through the counterspell, because surely your opponent with 4 cards in hand didn't just keep a hand with nothing. Did not shuffle the Ponder, and then they pass the turn. Okay, land for Archon's a banger here. I'll take that. Okay, Pearl, and then Archon. Put that into play. That turns off Doomsday, or it turns off Dark Ritual into Doomsday. They have to cast Doomsday, then pass the turn as long as this is in play. It makes Cavern of Souls a 2-turn line. Right, Force Pitching Portent. All right, sure. It turns off Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation. All of those are 2 spells or more. Okay, opponent. You've resolved Demonic Tutor. You countered my hate piece. You have 4 mana in play. Surely you can win the game right now. Fetching to 10. I don't think there's really a line that Force of Vigor can punish, because this is Vintage. They get actual Black Lotus. They don't have to mess around with Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh, they just Demonic Consultationed. This could get fun. Oh, they exiled their whole deck. No, it's not fun. They just have the Oracle in their hand. Sure. Okay. Endurance. JK. They have nothing. All right. Yep, there's that. They have Necro, Flusterstorm. There's 2 Oracles. Okay. Well, that Swords to Plowshares that rotted in my hand the whole game is getting boarded out for sure. No, Plow, Endurance come in. I think Needle can name Necro or Street Wraith. Are there cards that are just stone unplayable that need to come out of the deck? Like Force of Vigor, there might be a conversation about. That can hit Necro also, but not in a time frame that is relevant. Like they can just activate a bunch of times in response. So I think Needle is actually better. So 2 Needles in, 4 removal spells out. Do I want Containment Priest simply as a card I can cast? Like just making sure I always have pressure on the board? Is that better than Pithing Needle? And probably not. I think this is as good as my deck's gonna get. Okay, no forces, can't cast this Hierarch. This is a mulligan for sure. This is a keep. I'm in. Keeping this, I think I'm gonna send one of the 3 endurances to the bottom. There's an argument to keeping all 3 in case I get Thoughtseized, but I think being able to cast Archon and still hold back the endurance is a 1-2 punch I want to be able to represent. Okay, their hand is Street Wraith, DT, Force of Negation, Thoughtseize. I did have Thoughtseize. Good to know. So I can brainstorm away my endurances so they don't know about them. 2 Street Wraiths in that hand. Wow, I wish I had Pithing Needle. Wraith, new card. There's the Delta. Passing the turn. I think this is an end-step Brainstorm world. I'd really like to untap and cast a spell here, and finding the land or mana source somewhere in my top 3 would help do that. Like finding like 2 lands and a green card, I think, are the ideal setup here. Because then I can play Lavinia. I'm representing Archon on the following turn, and I'm representing Endurance in between, even through a Thoughtseize. Okay, land green card, not bad. Okay. I'll put back the Needle and the Hierarch, and then I'm going to redraw Hierarch. Right, now I'm putting Lavinia into play, and I have Endurance even through the Thoughtseize. They can't Force of Negation this. They can't Demonic Tutor without a second land. If this resolves, they can't Force of Will anymore. They're probably going to Brainstorm in response, looking for Daze or similar. Cycled the second Wraith. There's the Brainstorm. If they have to answer this, I hope it's with Force of Will. Like, give me a 2-for-1 at least. Though I'd prefer it just resolves. Alright, she's in there. That's lucky. Fast mana doesn't help them here. Like, they can't Dark Ritual into Doomsday. Oh wow, just passing the turn. Oh no. They decided to Thoughtseize me after all. Probably strip one of the endurances. But took the Archon, sure. Fair enough. Yeah, I guess that is the one that they have to worry about me just casting right now. I'm gonna get Hierarch in. The misstep is huge against Thoughtseize. And then I can start hard casting endurances to speed up the clock next turn. Misstep also hits Fatal Push or whatever. I'm gonna hard cast this. They can't interact. They can't Daze here, so I'm just gonna hit it. Save my life total. Then I'm untapping into Hardcast Endurance even through Thoughtseize. I'll play the land in case they draw land in Hardcast Days. They have perfect information, but the news is bad for them either way. Okay, the Wall of Hatebears got a game off Doomsday. Game 3, let's go. We've now officially seen Thoughtseize. That's not in every build, and the build it is in, it's not always in the main deck, so knowing that they have Thoughtseize is relevant, because a lot of the times they rely on Duress and Flusterstorm and stuff, which Endurance ignores, but Endurance does not ignore Thoughtseize. I don't think my deck improves. I'm just going to submit it. Oh, this hand is a tease. Having Force and Flusterstorm and a blue mana is all good. It needs a green or white to function, and wasting them is not irrelevant. I'm going to keep this hand. Good chance I live in regret on this one, but I'm going for it. Okay, they just passed the turn. And? Hierarch, okay. I'm going to play Wasteland first, and then play Mox, and cast Pithing Needle. See if they fetch in response or if they cycle in response. If they don't fetch, I'm naming the Misty. Though there are 2 Misties in my deck too, which would feel pretty bad. But I still think constricting their mana would be worth doing in that spot. Naming Street Wraith. And they fetched the island because they saw the Wasteland here, which is interesting because their deck needs triple black to function. Come on, land. Well, if I'm not drawing a land, I would prefer a free spell. They're going to discard. Land, green source. Green source. Alright, well, I don't have to go to discard yet. That's good news. And Hullbreacher is another good card for when I find the 3rd land this turn deck, please. We're going to discard again, discarding another Doomsday. Fascinating. Ugh. I believe that Noble Hierarch is the discard. Like, Oko pitches to both Force and Endurance, which is worth a lot to me right now. And 1 Hierarch unlocks what I'm doing. I don't think I need to. Land. Jesus. Right, I'll drop the other Oko, because if I draw a white source, I'm jamming Lavinia. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I just always leave up Flusterstorm. Brainstorm. I don't think I want to fight over that in this spot. I would love to Hull Breach it. But as you can see, it's turn 6 and I haven't drawn a land. But neither have they. Love to see that Street Wraith hit the graveyard. They found a land. Can I find a land? Oh my god. Mental Misstep is in my hand now. I mean, that's another spell. I think I actually have to discard Hull Breacher at this point. It's Hull Breacher or Lavinia. I actually think it's Lavinia. No, Lavinia locks out more than Hull Breacher does. Lavinia costs 2 colored sources, which means that I don't get to leave up Flusterstorm in that world. Yeah, I'm going to discard Lavinia. And I'm really still hoping that any green source off the top unlocks Noble Hierarch. I don't know, maybe I'll get to Mental Misstep something this turn and won't have to discard. This is kind of awkward. They want to shuffle their deck for the Brainstorm, but they don't want to get Wastelanded. I'm definitely wasting them. Cool. Alright, now Hull Breacher is the discard because I'm miles away from casting it. Yeah, the jump up to 3-drop is just got a lot steeper. They're going to discard again. This has been a thrilling match of Vintage Magic. Alright, deck, time for a Tropical Island. Or Mox Emerald. I'm not picky. Another Endurance. Okay. Time to count up my blue and green spells. I can cast Fluster. I can cast Misstep. I need to keep Oko or Lavinia for Force. And I need to keep Hierarch for Endurance. I don't necessarily need the second Endurance. But giving myself some Thoughtseize protection. I'm going to discard Lavinia because it pitches to the fewest things. Preordain. Is this the fight? I don't think so. I think I regret discarding Lavinia. I should have discarded Oko. Because Lavinia is just full of text. If I cast her, and Oko mostly isn't. Jesus Christ. I guess I discard an Endurance. If my opponent sees me discard Endurance, they should be terrified, because that's like the most important card in my deck, or one of the most important cards. Okay, they're content to go to cleanup again. There are lands in my deck. I'm 15 cards into my deck and found one land, and it's Wasteland. There's 24 mana sources in this deck. 24. I guess that counts the Hierarchs, which you need a land or a Mox to unlock them, so 20 minus the Wastelands, 17 hits in the deck. I would love a Black Lotus right now. I'd be happier with a Tropical Island, but I'd take it. Oh my god. Well, discarding Collector Roof, because I'm going to need my artifacts to play the game. They're fetching. It's time to make a move, it seems. You know there's a Doomsday in their hand because they've discarded 2 of them already. I'm going to misstep the Ritual. If I can get them into a fight over misstep and then fluster the Doomsday, I'll feel pretty good about that. Please fluster my misstep. That would be great. Nice. So that taps them out of Flusterstorm. So I'm going to let their Fluster resolve and let the Ritual resolve. Am I even worried about Necro here? I guess they could like juke onto Necro instead of Doomsday here. Not convinced that's good. I mean, Necro's good, obviously, but I don't know. Just hope it's Doomsday. Doomsday, here's Flusterstorm. That's 3 Doomsdays down. I don't think there's a reasonable way to win this counter war from 0 mana. I don't know. Okay, deck. Land. Even Wasteland is good here, because they just exposed their black source. Oh my god. So you're saying there's a chance. I have 1 turn to clench my cheeks. I have Endurance with Force backup to get me to a spot where I'm hardcasting Endurance, and that gives me a whole lot more game, a whole lot more options. They did draw out my Fluster last turn. A braver person might have let Doomsday resolve and then bet on the Handful of Disruption, but that's not me. I'm a coward. If I knew the format and the list a little better and like specifically what they could do about a hand with multiple endurances, I guess they would just make a pile that doesn't lose to endurance, because their gigantic graveyard right now that I can chuck back into their deck would go away if they resolve Doomsday. The information they're working with, they know that I drew Tropical Island this turn, like fucking obviously. And they know I've been sitting on this Noble Hierarch for a long time, and they know I discarded all of these Hatebears while keeping Hierarch in the hand on purpose. So they've seen me discard an Endurance, they must assume I have another. I basically just have to hope they can't beat it, because if they can, they're working with pretty good information. They made a land drop, so I know that's their draw for the turn, because they played on 2 lands for so long. And this basic island that they fetched for to play on Wasteland, then ended up getting taken off mana anyway with Wasteland. That doesn't let them cast Doomsday right now. Oh wow, that's the card that I specifically asked for. I'm just going to pass the turn here. I just drew the best card in my deck. Let's not mess it up by doing something like casting Oko. Wonder how many Street Racer in their hand too. Thoughtseize, huh? If I Force of Will Thoughtseize, do I have to Force of Will Thoughtseize? I have 2 Endurances, 2 green cards, 2 blue cards for Force. One of the blue cards is Flusterstorm, but giving them perfect information is pretty scary. I can pay for Flusterstorm. I'm going to force this pitching Oko. They got 2 cards off of the Thoughtseize instead of 1, but I think that's worth it to hide the information. Like, if they know exactly what they have to beat, that's worse for me. They clearly have a counterspell. They're in the tank really hard about this, and they're just deciding where the best place to point their counterspell is. They could Flusterstorm and tap me out. Daze. Okay, I will pay for Daze. That was pretty easy. Now they can Fluster. So they Dazed, then force pitching Daze. Now they forced back my Thoughtseize. Or they forced back my Force. I'm going to let that resolve. And then Fluster their Thoughtseize. The Storm is a zillion if they have their own Flusterstorm here. They have 3 cards in their hand, and one of them's Underground Sea. And they already played their land for the turn. Oh, no, they didn't. Apparently that was last turn, and I just lost track of it in the mix. Okay, they're consulting. All right, we're going to win. They're going to empty their deck, go for the Oracle, and I'm going to Endurance them. Yeah, their deck's empty right now. There's Oracle, and Endurance pitching Endurance. There we go. Tuck their graveyard. I guess, I mean, I didn't look at the pile very closely. There's more Doomsdays in it. I guess they could cast their Street Wraiths eventually. So if I kill their Oracle, all right, the other Oracle's exiled. There are 3 Doomsdays in their pile and the means to cast them, so I have to be careful about killing their Oracle. I don't think they can win if I don't kill their Oracle. Oh, there was a Fatal Push in the pile too. All right, I need a creature. Give me an Archon. Right. I'm gonna play around the Thoughtseize that I know is in the pile. They are rebuilding from Hellbent. A flying creature would be great. Oh, they want to race. Yeah, I think they need that back to block with, but I'm ready to race if they are. I'm a turn ahead on the race, and my deck has more creatures. I left the Trop in my hand because now I want to get Thoughtseized. They still can't cycle the Street Wraiths. There's at least one in the deck. Okay, they realize they're not winning the race. Time for a spell? Oh yeah, that's a spell. Archon. All right, Archon's in play. That's going to be really hard for them to beat. Now I have a flying attacker. I don't have to worry about killing Oracle in combat. They're attacking. Why? I'm not going to block. I don't want to fall for that. Whatever that is. It might have just been a pride point. But I'm still not interested in it. Okay, I think we're over the hump, and now we're going to be able to take this pretty cleanly. Oh, that was stressful. Because Archon means they can't Dark Writ, and Underground Sea will come into play tapped. Do they even have 3 black sources in the deck to cast a Doomsday with at this point? Through a fetch land, so white mana. I have the Hierarch, but white mana's on for real now. Pithing Needle. I can Pithing Needle Misty Rainforest. I'll get at least one of them. I'm gonna crack my own first, of course. They do have the 1 fetch. They're consulting in response. Okay. Is this just a joke to exile their deck, or what? Is there a real play here? Is there something I've missed? Did they reveal? Did they name? Gotta find the chat box. Name's Fatal Push. Okay. Alright, so naming Misty Rainforest will hopefully take them off. They have only 2 cards left. They are trying to Fatal Push their own Archon and cast Doomsday. They don't need... Yeah, they don't need Revolt to do that. Okay. Lights out. That Endurance was clutch. I don't think they can win, but now I'm going to make sure they can't. They got that Fatal Push and then didn't cast it when they had the mana to do so. That was freaking weird, and I am honestly pretty proud of that one. I don't know if I should be proud of it or if it was just like, you know, opponent got slightly less lucky than I did. But for not playing a second land until turn 11 that game, and then navigating what to discard, what not to discard, when to apply pressure, some interesting stuff happened, even though that was watching paint dry for a while. I am on the play in round 5. I am going to keep this hand. Like, Force of Will is a good card. Brainstorm's a good card. I wonder if I'm supposed to brainstorm, like Sapphire, Brainstorm, hold my land drop in case I find a fetch land, or if I'm supposed to go Tropical Island, pass. I think I want to Brainstorm now, because if I find Noble Hierarch, that's something I'm going to want in play. So let's B-Storm. Oh god, they have Mental Misstep. My hand does not function without this Brainstorm. I'm going to force leaving Lavinia in my hand. That feels terrible. Mental Misstep is garbage. Okay. I drew 2 white cards, no white source, and I'm going to lose. No green card to pitch to Force of Vigor. No white land to cast the 2 white cards. Yikes. I hope they're a deck that's susceptible to Flusterstorm and Wasteland. Okay. At least have a target for Wasteland. A good one. Soul Ring, sure. If I ever draw a green card, this Force of Vigor is going bananas. Waste your thing. I have to draw through this dead Lavinia, and then after that I can hope to draw a real spell. Or a white source, I guess, is even better than a spell. Please jam Tinker. Please jam Tinker. Scroll. I'm going to let them scroll. Oh, nope. Shouldn't have done that. They can pay for Fluster next turn. I I thought they were going to go for it now, but obviously they're just not. I'm supposed to Fluster the scroll. Though they're probably a Tinker deck. Almost certainly a Tinker deck, in fact. Maybe I should be holding Flusterstorm anyway for Tinker. Like if they mess this up somehow and give me a chance to Fluster the Ancestral, I'll take it. But that seems unlikely. I'm just going to let this resolve really quickly and hope they slam Tinker, thinking that I don't have a counterspell. Oh, Dash Ragavan. That sucks. Alright, they're a Ragavan deck. I chose this deck because it lines up well against Ragavan. Please don't punish me. They took an Archon. That's not a card they can play. Like, even if they could play it, they're not going to, because that hurts them way more than it hurts me. In the land part would kind of suck. Glad they cleared that, though. Let's draw a white source. On deck. Tundra. Fuck! And that is a green card for Force of Vigor. So, there's something to enjoy there. I don't think I Force of Vigor these two mana rocks, though. I think I want to save it for like a Urza Saga or something that's actually going to kill me. Shit. Now I wish I Force of Vigor their artifacts. That's ace top. They can force now, and that takes them off some mana. Also build Storm for Fluster. Feels bad to do this now in the main phase. I was not expecting Academy out of this Ragavan deck. I'm not going to lie. They're on some breach business, for sure. This is a hybrid style deck. Storm is 2. If they cast Tinker, Storm will be 3. Alright, Narset's a different kind of problem. Karn. That they can cast right now. I'm ready to concede if they put Karn on the stack. Okay, yeah, sure. Well, this is the deck that I chose the deck to line up well against. They're a deck full of zeros. Wasteland's good against them. Archon and Ouphe are all good against them. Let's see if I can actually make that happen. Oh, Force of Vigor, a good one. Eventually I'll have 4 mana, maybe. I can't believe I just said that out loud. I'm never going to have 4 mana. It doesn't work that way. Cards that are not as good here. In Oko doesn't matter a whole lot. Here, I'm going to like lock them out with my creatures, or I'm not. Okoing a Bolas' Citadel after they pass the turn isn't really the game I'm looking to play. Endurance is my insurance for breach. Maybe 4 is too many Force of Vigors. Get 1 extra force in, 1 Oko out. You just want all these creatures. The creatures are my answers to Ragavan for the most part. Like, I just want to put creatures in front of it and save Swords to Plowshares for Sphinx of the Steelwind. Like, I don't really want to be answering a Ragavan. I'd also bring in Energy Flux here. If they're a deck that plays Academy, they're a deck that probably doesn't want Energy Flux in play. But I am just going to sideboard small. Flux might be better than Force of Negation, though. But Force is a card I can just cast for 3 mana sometimes. Okay, I'm going in like this. Now that I know what the matchup is, I can mulligan smarter. Turn 1, Ouphe. Oh, whoops. I hit keep while I was still thinking, but this is a keeper. I wish I could back it up with Flusterstorm, but here he is. This puts them on the Force of Will or Bust test plan. I hope. This also puts me on the you only have 1 land plan again. God. Land box, basic mountain, that's scary. Don't like that one bit. Yeah, that casts Ragavan on white land. Not helpful. I think I just block Ragavan here. Yeah, Ragavan really does give this deck a whole different angle that you have to respect. The Grixis Breach decks that I played in the first 2 events didn't have Ragavan. They had every other thing. Jesus. No. That's too easy. Can't have that. Do they attack with Rag? They do. I am going to block. I don't like turning on their mana, but it's also turning on my mana, and my hand's full of 3s. I think I have to give up the goat on that one. There's a Saga. It's terrifying. Need mana, please. Fuck. God, this deck sucks so hard. Yeah, I am full of regret with this deck choice. If I had played even 1 league of testing rather than just looking at the list on theory crafting, I would have recognized that this deck doesn't have the cantrips to actually do anything coherent, which means it's bad. Like in my head, I looked at the list and I was like, oh, this is just rug Xerox, but with white instead of red. I like that. But it's not at all. Like the 4 preordains, the selection that it offers is just game breaking. Well, speaking of game breaking, look who showed up too late to the party. This was the last opportunity where this card actually matters at all. Mystical Tutor. Okay, interesting. Tutoring for what? Ancestral. Yeah, that's a good card. Wish I could cast this Hull Breacher in my hand. I should force now before they draw the Ancestral and can do more things. I'm going to take out the Saga and the Construct. Or Saga and Emerald. The better play. The Construct. That's actually killing me. Because they get to make another one here. Didn't make another Construct. Fascinating. Right, I'm going to Force of Negation or Will. I could hardcast Force of Negation more likely than Force of Will. Right, I'm going to Force of Will, pitching Lavinia. Hull Breacher needs a mana source to cast it. Lavinia needs specifically a white mana source to cast it. They're both blue, which is how I'm able to pitch them to Force, obviously. Please jam Tinker. Okay. I'm Hellbent. They're down to 1 card. Here we go. This is the game I am built to play. Time to draw a relevant card. Ancestral Recall off the top. I don't ask for much. Okay. I will run my land out. I could cantrip into a land in the future. Like if I draw Ancestral and then I can't play a 3-drop because I didn't make my land this turn, I'm going to feel pretty stupid. That also explains why they didn't go for the second Construct. They were setting up a giant busted double spell turn, but my double Force hand could keep up. Now I have to dodge like Ragavan and Breach for a little while. Merchant Scroll, what's left? They've already got their Ancestral. They have a Dig. Oh, they have a Force. Okay. That's not exciting. That's actually really good for me. Come on, deck. How about a spell I can cast? Alright, that's white mana. Not nothing. Now I can cast any spell I draw, including Force of Vigor. I'm going to fetch in the end, or in my upkeep. Anything to maximize drawing a spell here is worth doing. Oko, yeah, that's a spell. No reason to slow roll. I know they have Force of Will. Their deck probably has Pyroblast in it, so let's just get this thing down before they can draw Pyroblast, lol. Okay, Sensei's Top just broke this game open. As it does. Force of Vigor, okay. That's not irrelevant. If they have their top to draw card, I can kill it. Doesn't feel good because they get a card out of it. Time Walk, okay. They tap their red mana to do that, which means I'm probably not getting ragged here. A pretty low value Time Walk, but top really does change the calculation of what a good Time Walk is. They have a land, they can fetch, look at 3 new cards with top. Force can kill Underworld Breach, which is important if they ever come up with that. Their Tinker is in exile, so that's gone. Knowing that they have this Force of Will in their hand is concerning. I don't know that their other card is blue, but we do know about this. Okay, they're going to have to react to that. Force of Will. Can I put you Hellbent with a Force of Will here? Do you have the Lightning Bolt? What are we dealing with? We drew out the Force, pitching Fluster. They're Hellbent. They did just see 3 fresh cards off a top. Please don't breach me this turn. You can breach me next turn. If you must breach me at all, but maybe just don't have anything. And let me draw a creature, a relevant creature. Saga, okay, I can kill that. No questions asked, it's dead. Noble Hierarch, alright, I can't get that into play this turn. I don't have to Force the Vigor on their turn now, but it'll still be fun to do in their upkeep. If they are going to react and do something here, I prefer they do it on their own turn. They're going to at least flip top to save it. Hopefully they don't have a counterspell on top. Wow, they had Force of Will. Did I have played around that? Okay, at least that tapped the Saga. That keeps them off one of their constructs. I could draw Wasteland right now, or another removal spell, and just knock this out. Or like some payoff creature. Collector Ouphe, Archon. Ugh. Oh, I'll run out my Hierarchs. That's all I got. Their hand is Sensei's Top. They're about to get to shuffle their deck. and make a 2/2, I am in grave danger to Time Vault, because they're about to be able to put the Manifold Key into play. That was the turn to draw Wasteland, if there ever was one. Yep, there's Manifold Key. Their hand is Sensei's top, and whatever they drew this turn, which was the second card down last time they topped. Okay, Force of Vigor is a good draw. Collector Ouphe is a good draw. Oh, they're flipping their top immediately. Oh, they're drawing an extra card with Manifold Key. Yeah, this is a trick you can do. You tap your top, untap your top, tap your top again. So you draw a card, put top on top, then you draw top with the second top. This is just like a way to get extra value in a super grindy game. It's actually really good. And they have the land to replay top to keep Construct a 3/3. They didn't take it though. Must like the top card of their deck. That's bad for me. On Collector Ouphe. Oh, Time Walk's not bad. I can attack for 2, then Time Walk. Shove past there. Their 2/2 construct there. And Time Walk. Not the sexiest Time Walk, but I've seen worse. Time to draw Ancestral Recall. Come on. Archon of Emeria. That card doesn't suck. I'm gonna attack with Noble Hierarch again and then play Archon. Yeah, the Archon definitely slows down the top game significantly. Unless they found Time Vault right there, they're gonna really have a hard time. They're not going to be able to do their extra looks with top and stuff now. And they're on a 3-turn clock suddenly. Fetching in response. That's probably just to get the non-basic land into play untapped. Put them all in. Please don't have Time Vault. Pass top, pass the turn. Yes, that's their spell for the turn. We're going to get to attack for 4 at least once. All right, deck, give me a Force of Vigor. Let's shut this down. Or Collector Ouphe. Something helpful. Force of Will. I'll take any of those. MTGO is giving me the waiting for opponent to pay cost prompt. For what? They're just spinning top. Okay. They are still going to draw their extra card this turn. Might as well, I suppose. And they're doing the trick of draw a card. They're drawing the cards first, and then top will the look at the top 3 will resolve, and they'll decide if they even want Sensei's top at the other end. Yeah, they're just yeeting all their mana into this. They're going to draw a card, look at their top 3 cards, draw another card, then look at their top 3 cards again. They're seeing the maximum number of cards here, and with the maximum amount of selection. I'm still rooting against them, obviously. I'm a bad guy. I'm in the market for a Force of Vigor, just some interactive spell, something that'll help me shut this down. Collector Ouphe is good. Force of Vigor, Force of Will. Ancestral, give me another look at a set of cards here. Would be nice. Brainstorm's not bad. It's like Ancestral Recall, but worse. And I do have to Brainstorm on my turn, because if I want to cast an interactive spell on their turn, I've already cast my spell, kind of gated by my own Archon here a little bit. Brainstorm, go. Please don't have Pyroblast. Force of Will and Endurance. Okay, yes. Put back the Windswept Heath and the Endurance in that order. I can cast Force of Will, which, if I'm casting this as my spell for the turn, it's countering their spell for the turn. That means that I can't lose to Time Vault this turn. Demonic Tutor. Okay, that's your spell for this turn. Then I attack you to 3. Then you play for your spell for next turn, and then you die. Unless they set up a hand with Lightning Bolt for my creature, and then also all this other shit. But I'm going to hold on to this Force of Will for dear precious life. I can't beat a bait spell, so I'm just going to save it for the real thing. The straightest line to victory here is tutoring for Time Vault. If these Exalted triggers resolve, then they didn't get Lightning Bolt. Oh, they did get Lightning Bolt. Got a Braid. Okay. I have a choice here. I can bet that that's what they tutored for, or I could bet that it's not. Okay, I don't think I can make the bet that that's what they tutored for. Endurance is my follow-up threat here. I can't force and Endurance this turn. Wish I had a Flusterstorm. Always wish I had more cards in my hand. That's the problem with this deck. Daxian Probe. Okay, so they see Force and Endurance. So they know if they can win or not. If they just have like Time Vault plus Pyroblast, they win. 4 cards left in their hand. We know one of them's top. There's top. I'm not going to force that. My top card is Windswept Heath, which Sucks. They're flipping their top. Oh no, they're just doing the thing. The flippy thing. Sure. So they drew a card and manipulated their top 3 cards again. Top did end up back in their hand. Okay, Endurance, let's get them. Cast Endurance. They know I can't defend it. See if it's worth a Force of Will to them. Can't imagine that it is. I mean, maybe it is. But if they... Okay, yeah, that does make sense, actually. Force Pitching Fluster. They know I can't respond to that. Yeah, they're just settling into the grind. They know they're going to win this game if they just draw enough cards. I can't attack. I have a 2/3 and they have a 4/4. Using the Force on Endurance, I think, tells me pretty clearly that they don't have Time Vault, though. Because you would just use Time Vault to make sure, or you just use Force to make sure your Time Vault resolves. Or it means they have 2 forces and just didn't want to get cheesed out by damage in between. Black Lotus. Okay, that doesn't matter. They have so much mana at this point. And it's an artifact for their construct. At some point, they'll start actually winning the race. Hardcast Bolos' Citadel from 6 life. I don't think this is my fight. Oh, but they have Sensei's Top. Yeah, this is the fight. If they have Time Vault here, they got me. But with Sensei's Top in play, this Citadel is just draw 5. Straight up. Like, at the worst case scenario. And top to like manipulate the top of the deck as well. Okay, they're using their key to do top stuff, which means I'm not getting vaulted this turn at least. Fetch land, okay, I like that. On deck, how about a Force of Vigor? I'd feel a lot better about life if I could remove this construct token from play and start attacking. Or really remove the Manifold Key from play. Some interactive object. Collector Ouphe, Ancestral Recall, please. Mental Misstep. That counters top on the way back down if they do more top shit. That is actually a huge deal right now. They've also drifted under 3 minutes on their clock over there. If they don't find what they're looking for soon, they may never. Academy is their land for turn. 1 card left in hand. Tapping the top. Okay, good. They're keying the top. That means I'm not losing this turn. At least not to Time Vault. And my Mental Misstep gets to get pointed at something extremely high value. Soul Ring. That makes Construct bigger. Not big enough, though. Mental Misstep. I'm going to pay the iron price. I have plenty of mana. They have 1 card in their hand. If it's any counterspell they can cast it, they can easily hardcast Force with mana to spare here. They're not winning this race. They attack me to 11, they go to 3, I go to 7, they go to 1, I go to 3, they're dead. They can start attacking next turn because Manifold Key gives their Construct Vigilance. Alright, I mean, they're also at a minute left on their clock. They have to win this game somehow, but I'm not blocking yet. At some point I'll start chump blocking just to save time. But can I draw a game piece, please? A relevant game piece. The Fairy Time Raveler. Don't mind if I do. That is exactly the type of thing I was looking for. Does it resolve? They didn't fight over my misstep, so either they don't think that's important. Oh, we got it. All right, that was game 2, and they have 40 seconds to win game 3. I'm just going to move all in on Force of Vigors and free spells to make sure I don't get cheesed out. And that's my whole strat. I don't think they could possibly win in the time frame, but I'm just going to do what I can to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm cutting the Archons for Energy Flux, because Energy Flux is a blue card for my various forces, and it also can control artifact creatures, which is their only way to win the game. I have a Force and a Fluster. They have 25 seconds. I'm going to keep this. Okay, Force blue card with Fluster backup. Collector Ouphe is on deck. Endurance is on deck. Yeah, I don't even think they're going to get through their first turn without timing out. I really didn't think that I would be timing opponents out with this deck when I regged it today. And to be perfectly clear, I have never been close to timing out. There are 16.5 minutes on my clock to their 0. Like, they're farting around over there. The Jeskai round was much the same. So, I don't know, man. Welcome to Vintage. Play fast. I'm on the draw in round 6. I have Pitchcast Endurance available to me. I have turn 2 Hull Breacher with some Wastelands. I'm going to keep this. I don't know what my matchup is. I don't want to like mulligan to Force of Will and then be a Ragavan deck or like something. Double Wasteland does give me some play, even if they come out blazing. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. This deck puts you in sort of a weird position of like, this hand could be better. I'm playing Vintage. Like, where's my Ancestral Recall? I'm playing Vintage. Versus now I'm on a 5-lander with 1 mana anyway. Like, it just feels like a Legacy deck, and I think I should be keeping Legacy hands unless I know better 100%. Well, they're a once upon a time deck. That's good news. That probably means Endurance is good, and so is Wasteland. But they kept 7, which is bad. That might mean they have 2 Bazaars. There's Bazaar. I hope I get to waste them at least once before anything bad happens to me. All right. They have Root Walla, no Vengevine, Bloodghast, and discarded Hogaak. Sure. Definitely Wasteland's going to play here. I want to take them off Bazaar first. Hope they just hope they don't have 2, I guess. I don't want to run out my Mox Pearl. They're frequently also Force of Vigor decks. Bazaar, they have to tap their Bazaar before they could cast Hogaak anyway. Just hope there's a madness thing, like some trigger that I can respond to. Nope, just gonna get Hogaaked here. Swords to Plowshares is in my deck. They pass priority. That's a mistake. Are they attacking for 1 rather than just casting Hogaak? Fascinating. I think that's irresponsible. Now I don't have to respond. Let's see what my draw step yields. Just going for Wasteland here. And then I'm going to Endurance them in their upkeep, probably. I guess it doesn't matter when I do it. Yeah, let's just Endurance now. I guess if they have 3rd Bazaar, but then they can just tap and cast Hogaak. So I don't want to give them that opportunity. If they have 3rd Bazaar, they have 3rd Bazaar. That would be some bullshit for the record. Verdant Catacombs. Deal. I can Mental Misstep a Deathrite Shaman or Stitcher Supplier that they might cast here. I do need to get on board ahead of these creatures that they have. Second Hull Breacher, not the most exciting. I'm still not giving them a target for Force of Vigor. I'm not doing anything with the extra mana. They're not going to have days. I'm going to fetch Dryad Arbor and just get an extra creature into play here. Nope. Okay. Deal. They're also a Wasteland deck. I should be careful of that. Or they could just have their 3rd Bazaar. What the fuck? Which they clearly drew this turn. At least Hull Breacher can clap the Bazaar next turn. Because they're not a dredge deck. And their Bazaar this turn wasn't very good. Right. Land, Mox, pass the turn. I'm going to wait for them to tap their Bazaar. And then I'll breach them to the Stone Age. Yes. Let's go. Tropical Island, Tundra. Maybe I'll just get 2 Trops. Yeah, green's more important in this matchup, and they are a Wasteland deck, and my Mox makes white. So I want to protect my green mana. So if I score some treasures here, it won't matter. All right, so I get 2 treasures, then they discard 3 cards, which doesn't mean this turn is over. This could still get me. Oh, they did have Force of Vigor and chose not to play it. Lucky. Wow, just powered through game 1 against Triple Bazaar. I'll take it. Right, this is the matchup Tabernacles for Endurance, Pithing Needle. Pithing Needle names Bazaar. Swords to Plowshares can hit all their shit. Containment Priest affects the graveyard. Yeah, I'm pretty stacked up for this matchup. It must be bad. Force of Vigors come out. Cluster Storms come out. Gitaxian Probe comes out. I don't really care what's in their hand. I think that Force of Negation and some number of Force of Wills come out as well. And Archon seems like kind of a shitter. Compared to everything else that's going on. I want some number of Force of Wills in the deck because this is still Vintage. Yeah, I think this is what I'm going for. It's just this massive pile of 9 cards coming in. I could go deeper and get the Prismatic Endings in there too. But I think with 4 Endurance plus the Okos, yeah, this is pretty hateful. I'm going to do this. If they show me something crazy that beats what I'm offering here in game 2, then I'll board more for game 3. Yeah, I think Collector Roof's actually going to hurt me more than help me. But it's still a creature I can put into play and trades with Bloodghast or whatever on a scrappy board. We keep these. It's kind of awkward that the Black Lotus plays out so many creatures ahead of what I want to be doing, which is Tabernacle. So I know they have Wasteland now. Playing a slow game. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna Black Lotus out. Okay, change of plans. I'm gonna Black Lotus out Oko and Noble Hierarch. Yeah, Hierarch can tap for mana next turn. If they use Wasteland on Windswept Heath, that means they're not using it on Tabernacle. So I have to fetch Tropical Island here. Tropical Island, Black Lotus, make green, green, blue, Oko, Noble Hierarch. I could Elk their Deathrite, which might slow them down a lot, or I can just make food. I could also Elk my Hierarch, but that plays really poorly against the Wasteland. Yeah, I'm just going to make food. There's the Wasteland. Hardcasting Rootwalla. Yeah, they're on a scrappy shitter draw. They were counting on that once upon a time to find Bazaar, I think. And it didn't get there. They do have Wasteland for me. Let's see what I can do here. I can trade for Deathrite and then play Tabernacle. Right, I'm going to trade my food for Deathrite. That's the best creature in play by a lot. I don't even want a Tabernacle, actually. I think I want to Swords to Plowshares. My board's just way better than theirs, and they can pay for a Tabernacle anyway. Plowing their own creature. A necessary evil. I like it. Deal. Yeah, I'm not playing Tabernacle here. I can plow their Rootwalla. They probably think they're going to attack Oko with it. They could have Mental Misstep, but I'm just going to hope they don't. The classic hope they don't have it vintage line. See if they use their mana to gain 2 extra life, or if they actually have a spell to cast. Looks like they might have a spell. Or not. Just didn't want the 2 life. That's fair too. Alright, I'm gonna Elk up, play Collector Ouphe, and Bash. Yeah, now I just have more creatures than them. I was a better creature than them game 1 when they had 3 Bazaars, and now they have no Bazaars, so I'm definitely going to be a better creature deck than them. Okay, here we go. This has not been attractive. They've played around Tabernacle extremely well, though. And that's not like a snarky LOL, you have no creatures, well played. It's like they actually kept a hand that had stable mana, multiple Wastelands. They were not in the business of getting clowned by Tabby, and that didn't happen. They're kind of clowning me with my own Tabby, to be honest. Needle. Okay, I can Needle Bazaar. Needling Bazaar of Baghdad. If I Elk my Collector Ouphe, that actually takes a turn off the clock. Instead of 5, 10, 15, they would take 6, 12, 18. My opponent's tilting off about the format in the chat, so clearly they don't understand what's going on, and they know they've lost. You had 3 Bazaars last game. 3. You're not going to tilt off about never drawing a turn 1 Lotus. In for another set of damage here. Guess I'll make a food. It does give them a second target if they have Force, but I mean, whatever at this point. It's not a real target, it's just a food. Yeah, there's the Force. I'm shocked. Alright, and they do actually have the Bazaar. Please don't. You can rally here. 2 Vengevines discarded, no creatures cast, and they scooped it up. Yeah, beat that one pretty cleanly. Nobody even timed out. Close to 19 minutes left on both clocks. Yes, we're keep playing. I'm going to play until I get my 3rd loss. My time isn't worth whatever like the top 64 prize is, but top 32 prize we're still grinding for. I'm going to stay in until that happens. Let's keep it going. I'm on the draw in round 7. And this hand almost has a turn 1 Hull Breacher. Like, if either the top 2 cards in my deck are a mana source, which, as we've discussed, I can't really count on this deck to do. I'm still going to keep. I have 2 Force of Wills. Let's go. Ancient Tomb. Sphere of Resistance. Well, Hullbreacher just got pretty bad. Force of Vigor just got pretty good. I'm going to force pitching Hullbreacher. Yeah, that's just not the game plan anymore. First appearance of Shops. Pretty exciting. I'm going to Time Walk. Take my extra turn, and then try to brainstorm into some gas if I don't find it. Okay, there's a land. That's good stuff. Brainstorm. Lavinia is actually awesome here. If I put Endurance, Force of Vigor on top of the deck, I can force pitching Misstep something. Yeah, Lavinia is actually really good against shops because they count so much on generating more than 1 mana with each of their lands. And they didn't exactly dump out a bunch of Moxen on turn 1 here. Let's see how this plays out. Saga, bummer. That's a scary one. And that is a way to advance the board state without playing any spells into my Force of Will or my Lavinia. She's going to get in for her beats. I'm drawing the Force of Vigor again next turn, and I have Endurance to pitch to it. That'll line up against the first construct and the Saga itself. Hope it's not too late by then. This is pretty ugly and scrappy. Like Lavinia just chasing down this Urza Saga situation. Not pretty. Ghost Quarter. Oh no. Let me draw my card, please. I don't have any basics in the deck, and the top of my deck is actually a card I want. Okay, good. Did not get my Ghost Quartered here. Construct can't block Lavinia right now. Make a Construct here. Go to their turn. I could zap these 2 things. Yeah, I think I actually want to do that. There's some temptation to let them have the second Construct, let them tutor. This land's about to die anyway. And just wait for the next payoff. But I don't know how much work Lavinia is actually doing here. And I'd like to keep them under some amount of resources. Make sure Lavinia stays relevant. And Lavinia does incentivize them to leave Ghost Quarter in play. If they ever want to cast spells. Bond spell. That's a spell. Okay, now I'm feeling good about this game. I went from feeling medium minus to heavy plus. And they've been tapping Ancient Tomb for mana the whole game, so Lavinia's beats have kind of doubled. Like the clock is twice as fast as it would appear on the surface. Still backing up everything I'm doing here with Force of Will. It's as good a force target as anything. That turns off Oko, which is going to win the game on its own pretty quickly here. I suspect this Lavinia has actually been insanely busted, and we'll never actually know the effect it had on the game. I elk the food and just get to work here. They don't block, they can't tap Ancient Tomb. If they do block, they can only tap it 1 more time, and I have Daze now, which is surprisingly effective for a turn 6 situation. Oh, that was really ugly, but I mean, it felt good. Lavinia, secret hero. We'll never know how much damage she actually did that game, but it was probably a lot. Force of Vigor and Energy Flux, these are the matchups they're for. Prismatic Ending, Exile Spheres on curve, which is pretty important. We saw Ghost Quarter, which suggests they might be Golos shops, like a Prison Shops variant. I'm not sure if Aggro Shops plays the Ghost Quarters as well. Luckily, I can look it up. Yeah, it looks like the stock build of Aggro Shops doesn't play Ghost Quarters, so we can expect Golos here. Hull Breacher is not great. Daze on the draw, I don't love. Mental Misstep doesn't do anything. Flusterstorms don't do anything. Do have to pay attention to my blue count, because I'm boarding out a lot of blue cards here, and I still have all 5 forces in the deck. I mean, that's why this deck plays 3 Oko, because it pitches to all of your forces. I'm boarding in 2 blue cards, I guess. Endurance, they are a deck that plays Crucible in the Prison version, usually as a 4 of. Like, strip blocking is a real part of the plan. Collector Ouphe's a little awkward because this deck also plays Null Rod. Like, I could board out Gitaxian Probe, although it is a blue card. Bring in Pithing Needle for Ghost Quarter, at least name one of the things they could get me with. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 blue cards left. That's pretty low. I'll make it work. Let's go. It could be defensible to cut Archons in this matchup, but I think that their lands entering the battlefield tapped, combined with flying. Like, flying can really flip the script on this matchup. This has Force of Vigor and green card, plus Force of Will and blue card, plus Energy Flux, but not really a good path up to more mana. If I buy time up to Energy Flux, it will probably solo the game. I'm going to keep this and probably regret it. Just looks so sexy, but hands with 1 and 2 lands, or 1 or 0 lands frequently do look sexy. That's a target for Force of Vigor. Just slamming Golos on turn 1. Don't approve of that shit. I'm not going to force a sphere here. Hitting Needle. Alright, please don't name Windswept Heath. They can name Oko, I guess, is the... Yeah, that's the most powerful thing they saw with an activated ability. Thorn. Not in a hurry to remove that. Like, my Force of Vigor can take out Mana Crypt and Thorn next turn. That creature resolves. 2 cards left in their hand. They're probably going to name Black Lotus in the blind with Revoker. Yep. Okay, well now I can pitch that to Force of Vigor. It sucks that I'm going to lose to Wasteland here. Gonna let their Mana Crypt flip, and then I'll kill it. Won the flip anyway. Alright, Force of Vigor. Target Mana Crypt and Thorn of Amethyst. Pay the 1, pitch Oko. Hope that's good. I think keeping this one-lander against shops when I've historically had mana problems with this deck might have been a fantasy. Another Revoker, okay. I have Swords to Plowshares for all that. Hopefully they don't double up on Lotus. And, like, if they don't waste me and they pass the turn, and I draw Lotus, I can plow the Revoker on Lotus and then cast Energy Flux, and then we win. Named Mox Emerald, okay. Saga, that sucks. But it's not Wasteland, I'll take it. And they don't have mana to activate that Saga. It's just like a tick-tick and eventually tutor situation. Alright, deck. Draw Black Lotus. Black Lotus! I'll take a land. I'm gonna fetch Tropical Island and play Collector Ouphe. This could hurt more than it helps, but it's a creature in play. Now I wish I didn't kill that Mana Crypt, though who knows. I may have stranded a Golos in their hand. I definitely turned off their ability to activate Saga. 3 mana, Crucible. They can't... Refiring the Saga over and over again is rough. I am going to counter that. And I'm already scared of Wasteland. They had a little bit of respect. Okay, they're attacking with both their things. I am going to block the one that's on Black Lotus. And hope I didn't just turn on their Black Lotus. Alright, land off the top, let's go. Kinda. Noble Hierarch. They hadn't seen that yet. That would have been a pretty good thing to revoke. Alright, so I just have to fade this turn of Wasteland or a Sphere, and I can get Energy Flux down. Done what I'm supposed to do so far, which is stay alive until I have 3 mana. Even if they do, like, jam Golos here, I've seen worse. They got their Lotus. Yeah, I did just turn that on. We knew that was happening. Fuck, they have Strip Mine. That's bad. Maybe they won't use it. Alright, Float White. They used it. Karn. That's a good card. This will be a tough one to get through. Yeah, maybe, like, knowing that their Saga was popping, I'm supposed to block the Revoker on Black Lotus last turn, because, well, they would have just gotten Soul Ring and probably done the same thing. I'm going to plow while my mana is floating. Let's see what Karn's going to do to me here. If they have the Liquid Metal coating, I have Phyrexian Revoker. Yeah, that's bad too. This one's going to name Hierarch. All right, can I draw Black Lotus now? Black Lotus. Mox Emerald. There is a sense of humor in the world. I'm going to attack Karn. The Hierarch's not doing anything better than attacking with the Revoker in play anyway. Right. Karn is in play. My Emerald doesn't work anyway. Shit. Oh, Black Lotus doesn't work anyway. Yeah, I basically have no outs here. They let the Hierarch connect, which means Karn can't minus this turn. If it does, it dies. So, like, I'm not worried about Lattice. This is definitely going to end up being one of those super miserable shops games where they're always they're like 1 mana ahead of where they need to be alive every turn for the whole game. Oh, and they have Wasteland. Alright, I'm dead. Yeah, Black Lotus doesn't even help. If I draw 3 lands in a row, I don't know. I'll attack Karn. I'll just keep treading water against Karn. If I draw a land, plow, Revoker, and then draw another land, there might be a game here still. Like if they just brick forever. Karn's back to 2. They drew a land for their turn. Okay. They're going to keep beating? Yeah, okay. They are racing to the end here. All right, come on, Tundra. All right, you're saying there's a chance. Keep the pressure on Karn. We're actually kind of close to something resembling stability here. Please don't draw a good card right now. That's a good card right now. You didn't listen to me, opponent. Right, continuing with the activate needle strat. And because they played their land pre-combat, I know that I can safely plow the Revoker. I don't have to take the 2. I would have waited till the end step otherwise to try to fade Wasteland. But I guess they would have run it out there anyway. Okay. Gonna fetch, get Tundra. Towards to Plowshare is this creature. They've already used Karn for the turn, so they can't wish for their exiled Revoker. Alright, come on, land. Land! Oh my god. We are back in the conversation here, squad. Did Vintage decks not play the liquid metal coating? Because that would have ended me. They probably just don't pay for Needle. Not really doing anything here. They can't wish for Lattice. Oh wait, yes they can, because that would destroy all my permanents. Oh shit. Yeah, I actually just lose. I hope they pay for Needle or don't realize how this works. Like, if they wish for Lattice, everything is an artifact, and then I can't tap my artifacts to pay to keep my Energy Flux, and then I lose. Because Energy Flux is gone going into their turn. Yeah, I'm just dead. Gonna make them see the line first, though. Yeah, like I said, we ended up exactly 1 mana short. It's one of those shops games where, like, even when you think you're back in it, you're still 1 mana short. Because if I could have wasted the Mishra's Workshop that turn and play Energy Flux, then we're stable. But right now, we're not. I just have to hope they miss the play somehow. The Lattice literally just kills all my permanents here. They wasted my waste. Okay. That's free. They still have the 6 mana they'd want. But they did just play into Daze. Oh, Karn plussed. Fascinating. They must not have realized they just had the win in the pocket right there. Or they think they have it anyway. Oh, that's such a tease. If I attack Karn, they can make a 1/1 to block. Yeah, let's attack Karn. Keep the pressure on that baddie. You get a 1/1. Guess that was going to die anyway, so whatever. Oh, this Force of Vigor. With the green Mox, that's not actually a green card. Dirty, dirty stuff. They didn't make a construct. That's bad for me. Got Soul Ring. That will die in the next upkeep. However, if they Lattice me first, it doesn't matter. And Lattice turns everything colorless. So even if I draw a green card, I can't Force a Vigor next turn. Yeah, they got Lattice. They figured it out. Yep, there's Lattice. Regrettable. Alright, I'm dead. Can't pay for my stuff. Force of Vigor is colorless, and so are all my other cards. Classic 1 mana short against shop stack game. That was a game on the draw, though. We got one on the play. I think Daze just got better. And Endurance. Or is it Archon? Yeah, maybe Archon is worse. Endurance having Flash is not irrelevant. Shops aren't going to be playing a bunch of spells in a turn. Ending Priest, Plow. I guess the Plows might be better than these extra Archons now that I've seen all these Revokers. Needle on Karn, Needle on... Karn's restricted, so I'm probably not going to Needle that very often. Needle on Wasteland, Needle on Ghost Quarter. But they have Ghost Quarter, Wasteland, and Strip Mine, so it's kind of a whack-a-mole with Failing Needle anyway. Okay, I'm going in like this. +1 Plow, +1... What else did I add? I forget what else I added. -1 Archon, +1 Plow. Okay, so land drop, land drop, land drop, Energy Flux is the plan here. No acceleration of any kind, no protection of any kind. I have to ship this. This is almost the same hand, but it has Daze in it this time. I think I'm going to keep this. Force of Vigor gives me a lot of live draws that the previous hand didn't. I'm going to keep this and send Tundra to the bottom. A lead on Flooded Strand and pass. I think this Wasteland could have some life to it. Mox Jet. Mox Emerald. Okay, these make my days look pretty bad. Wait, maybe not. Thorn. Is this the days? Oh, that resolves. I can still daze something else this turn. And I'm representing force of various things. I think a green card is honestly my best draw. Post quarter. Okay, cool. So leaving the fetch land at play is worth something there. Green card. Okay. That's not what I want. It's a spell, though. I can cast it. Ghost Quarter. Shit. That's bad. That means they have another one. Yep. And I can't even, like, plow something and then daze to pick this up. It's just gone. Right, they're not exactly blazing out of the gates here, though. Revoker. I have the plow for that. That can resolve. Green card, still my best draw. Come on, green card. I'd also take Black Lotus. All right. Well, they turned off Black Lotus. But I'm going to play Wasteland. That's the one that I care the least if they target with Wasteland. And it still takes me off a land and it sucks. But if they waste Wasteland, I can fetch Tundra, plow their Revoker. Take my damage. Saga, okay. My Wasteland can answer that if I feel like I need to. Another Revoker. Okay. I'm going to plow the one on Black Lotus in the end step. Oh, they doubled up on Black Lotus. Okay, does that matter now? I'm susceptible to Wasteland anyway. I might as well spend mana when I have the opportunity. Get one of these out of play. Looking for a green card. All right. We are almost there, team. We're so close right now. Got to fade Wasteland for a turn. Now that fetch looks pretty bad, but fuck it. I'm not meant to win this game. I'm not meant to win this game. I can hardcast Daze on something this turn with my lands without setting me back any mana. I think if they were going to waste me, they would have done it first main. So maybe that doesn't matter. Fuck! God damn it. Fuck my life. Yeah, let's use the ability. Nope, no basic. If I had a basic, I win this game. Ugh. Alright, deck. Still in the market for a land or a green card. There's my Black Lotus that I can't activate. I can put it into play, though. Does that matter? Yeah, I'll play the Lotus. I don't think I can Wasteland Saga. Am I dead if I don't? I guess is the question. Probably. Because then they can just pay for their things for a turn. Damn it. Yep, 1 mana short the whole game. They had 3 strip mines. The Revoker is paying out. They smartly doubled up on Black Lotus when they played the second Revoker, or else I would have Energy Flux in play right now. They've played this game really well, and I'm mad about it. 5, 7. I think I'm just... No, green card still is the draw. Green card still wins this game. I can also daze this turn. If I can get Force into play, or if I can get Flux into play, even keeping the Construct kills the Construct. Oh, okay. Player in Academy. You got it. Well, they even played around Daze. Yeah, green card's not good enough at this point. Swords to Plowshares is 1 short. Yep. One of these miserable 1 mana short at every opportunity sort of games. You could argue mulligan better. Like, I don't know. I kept a hand with so many mana sources. They needed 3 wastelands to keep me off it. And I was even drawing live up to this last turn until the Academy. Yeah, we're dead. Okay. I've dropped from the event at 4 and 3. Third loss, not worth 2 hours of my time to play for like 5 treasure chests or whatever. Top 64 prizes. This deck sucks ass. Like, officially, I'm declaring it. Deck sucks ass. I can see worlds where, like, if you know the entire metagame's going to be like Breach and PO, things like Ouphe and Archon and Lavinia, like, this deck is really made to just put one thing into play and have the game end. Like, protect your thing once, put it into play, protect it once with a Daze or a Force, and then your opponent can't do anything. This is meant to sort of beat up on a broken metagame, but the Vintage format is pretty fair right now. Like, I think that our creatures and removal line up well against the Ragavan Murktide decks. I think that is a creature deck we're well positioned against. I think Bug is a toss-up. We're actively unfavored against Jeskai. Shops seems like it's kind of rough, though. I mean, you would think 4 Force of Vigor and 5 Forces, like 5 blue forces, 4 green forces would line up well against Shops, but that deck is just so powerful that maybe you are just unfavored anyway. Yeah, I don't know. This seems like it doesn't have very many good matchups, and if you are playing in an open field like I was today, Maybe at the top near the winner's metagame when it's like Breach and Ragavan decks duking it out, maybe this deck could cut through like a blade, but the card selection is not really there. The deck mulligans poorly, which is a bad thing for a deck that mulligans a lot. Like, we just didn't have functional hands a lot of the time. There's no preordained to smooth this out. Like, this is not a like rug Jeskai Xerox deck with just different colors in it. Like, it's really not. It's functionally, structurally different than those sort of decks in a way that makes it pretty bad. This did not feel like I was playing Vintage today. It didn't feel like I was even metagaming for Vintage with a fair deck. Like, this just felt like a legacy deck that sometimes drew Ancestral Recall. And that's not a deck you can really defend playing. It's just a tournament, not a big deal, but I will say I regret using my last bullet on something like this instead of, or at least without testing it. If I had played a single league with this deck, I would have known better than to play it. I do wish that I had ended up going with one of my like fair rug decks with Ren and 6 rather than this version that I thought I could cheat away with. I really liked Collector Ouphe and Archon of Emeria in their positioning in the metagame at large, but those are not the matchups I ran into. Especially losing round 1 just puts you into the garbage bracket where this deck belongs, quite frankly. That's my experience with this. Don't recommend it. Don't play it. If you're going to play Vintage spells, and none of these are Vintage spells. So thank you all for watching. I am not as dejected as I sound right now. I'm really not. Like, it's just a tournament, not a big deal. This deck, I'm glad I made this mistake so you don't have to. Don't play this deck. Try the Tinker Breach deck that I released my last video with. That deck was actually sweet. The blue-black Tinker deck, that deck is also sweet. Like, play Tinker. Like, don't try to get clever in Vintage right now. Put Tinker in your deck, and that's what you should be doing. Those are my closing thoughts. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for sticking it out this far. I know this was a rough one to watch. It was a rough one to record too. But we're done with it now, and I'll see you next time for the next video.